Football, the legendary coach who made Ronaldo unstoppable and dominated world football. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 121. Crystal Palace is a famous nerve knife team. Manchester City wins when the bull is up, and when it can't do it, the relegation team can lose. Speaking of Liu Yi, before Liu Yi came, Manchester United was also like this. There is also a very embarrassing data, that is, in the previous 2 years of home games against Crystal Palace, Manchester United have lost the game. The two sides have won 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses in the last 5 games, playing a 5-5 open. It is conceivable that after Manchester United have spent £300 to £400 million in recent years, what kind of things have been played? Thinking of this, Liu Yi couldn't help but want to complain. And Crystal Palace is definitely stronger than Manchester United in terms of physical fitness. After all, the rest time is longer and the preparation is more sufficient. Manchester United only have more than a day to prepare, let alone train, and the time is basically to talk about tactics. The most important thing is that Liu Yi can feel that sense of exhaustion from the players, and Wan-Bissaka is the most obvious, he rests the least. Against Crystal Palace, just let Dalot go up to the top, let Wan-Bissaka rest, and Fred also needs to rest. The front court is better, after all, there are many people, and the rotation can also be changed. It seems that there are many players, but in fact it is very unbalanced. There are too many people in some places, and there are not even a turn to play, and some places are not on the bench. The next loss is Crystal Palace, and the next team encountered is not very strong. Give Liu Yi enough time to rotate. If it is the Devil's Field, the result may be more grooved. On social media, no one is concerned about whether Crystal Palace can stop Manchester United, and everyone's attention is focused on Liu Yi's contract. The news that Liu Yi's contract is only half a year has been thoroughly spread, not only Newcastle, but also many clubs that want to change their coaches. The superstars in the front are piled up in the incompatible Greater Paris, and the poor Juventus and even Real Madrid have called Mendes. For a time, there were rumors everywhere, what a big Paris €40 million salary, forced digging Liu Yi. Juventus smashed pots and sold iron only for Liu Yi's favor. Real Madrid's Galeries Lafayette favors Liu Yi's attacking football and wants to replace Ancelotti with him. There are even some Messi friends who claim, if Liu Yi coaches, he will perform better than Ronaldo. There is also some Mbappe private remarks, I hope to see Liu Yi in charge of Real Madrid. What's more, there are even rumors that Manchester City want to fire him because Guardiola has never been able to break through the Champions League, so he wants to fire him and replace Liu Yi to try. All kinds of rumors have noses and eyes, so that people don't know for a while, whether they are true or not. Even Liu Yi was a little puzzled, and specifically called Mendes to ask this question. Call me more than you think, my dude, you have no idea how popular you are now. Crazy smooth offensive football, indestructible pred defense, attracted the attention of countless fans. Who doesn't like it? Well, it's better if we don't take the initiative to spread rumors. Liu Yi felt a little bit sad in his heart. After all, it was really an honor to be recognized by so many big clubs. Rest assured man, we are now upright. Manchester United is also very sincere, just need to finalize some details. I can show you the contract. Mendes smiled, he did use some means before, but Liu Yi really didn't need it here. A high-quality idol with a huge market behind him, his own super ability, and a very positive image, other clubs can't ask for it. How can Manchester United easily give up? In the last practice before the start of the game, Liu Yi in the locker room directly announced the starting list. Lau Luo, you'll get halftime showtime. Sancho rested this time. Mason Greenwood started to try the Crystal Palace defense. On the left side, Anthony, I hope you can do your own thing, run up, and cooperate with Cristiano at any time, understand? Liu Yi looked at Martial and spoke somewhat harshly. Anthony Martial quickly nodded, he still wants to continue his career, and it is not a clever act to have a conflict with the manager. Fred rested in midfield, the old horse, Nemanja Matic, got a chance to play, don't cut too much. Nemanja Matic, who has not played for a long time, is not in bad shape or whatever, mainly because he is older, his body is not as good as before, and his physical strength cannot support him to play games often, but occasionally there is oil in rotation. Downey, you're responsible for picking up Nemanja Matic, adding more runs, connecting the front and midfield. Mike, congratulations on getting a starting chance, increasing the midfielder's confrontation and interception, protecting Nemanja Matic, and don't insert anything too often. At the back of the field, Shaw continued to come off the bench, Telles continued to start, Lindelof in the middle of the road partnered with Maguire, Varane rested, on the right side congratulated Shaw one finally got a chance to rest, this time Dalot start. Diogo Dalot, when you cut in to help attack, pay attention to the defense behind you, go up and you have to come back as soon as possible, understand? Dalot got the chance and quickly nodded his head, indicating that he must do it. Liu Yi was obviously not very reassured about him. After all, Dalot's defense could only be said to be better than nothing, and he could not even barely use it. Victor, Lindelof, you have a lot of responsibility to protect behind Dalot, and Harry is enough to protect the gap he left behind. There is no doubt that this is the trust in Lindelof, in the eyes of many people, just to make up this one, Lindelof in the Premier League defender, with that as the existence of the first gear. Lindelof is very happy in the face of so many tasks, because it means that his position in the heart of the manager is solid, and the goalkeeper who is trustworthy is naturally De Gea, and for this meritorious goalkeeper, unless it is a cup match or an accident, he will not easily replace. At the pre-match press conference, Liu Yi directly announced the starting list. Reporters rarely care about this, everyone hopes that Liu Yi can say some heavy news about his transfer. Mendes are negotiating a new contract with Ed, we have a pleasant exchange and I will only think about Manchester United now, directing Manchester United to win all the honours and games. Unfortunately, Liu Yi is not a head coach who likes to build fishing boats, and the reporter is disappointed. Crystal Palace's manager, Arsenal's master, the meritorious captain Patrick Vieira, before Arsenal was defeated by Manchester United, he wanted to save some of the situation. Manchester United are a strong team, but there has never been a team that can always be won, and I think our chances have come. Episode 122. At the press conference, Vieira's desire to avenge Arsenal was unabashedly exposed. But this is also normal, as Arsenal's meritorious captain, a well-known star loved by Arsenal fans, it is strange not to think so. The referee is Craig Boson, the referee who often makes OO, but he is the FFA's concubine, and the punishment is impossible to punish, but can only rely on time to fool through. The game is about to start, and the starters from both sides are being introduced in live broadcast rooms around the world. In the Longwell live broadcast room, it is still Jean June and Jean guiding the pair. One is passionate and knowledgeable, one has a torch-like vision, and the tactical analysis is superb. Jean June, let's first look at the home team Manchester United's approach, the 433 formation, the front court is Rowe, Greenwood and Martial Anthony, open, Martial once again get the opportunity to play 573 Will. The midfield has also changed a lot, Van der Beek and Matic, McTominay came out together, Fred is really too tired, it is estimated that after such a long time, they have lost a few pounds. At the back, Theses is still playing in place of Luke Shaw, he has been able to perform recently, centre-back Varane rests, Maguire and Lindelof go hand in hand, and in the right-back position, Dalot finally ushered in the start, but I think this is all out of consideration for the rest of Wan-Bissaka. Jean also added, yes, the position of Wan-Bissaka is now Manchester United's Achilles heel, only he can top up, once the rest is not at ease. Jean June continued to introduce the starting list of the away team. The formation has changed from 433 in the previous game to 451, which seems to be ready to win and lose with Manchester United in midfield. There is only one defender in the front, behind him is the London Zaha, and behind him are Gallagher, Quat, Schlupp and Wilsius. The backline is Mitchell, Gue, Tompkins, Ward. Goalkeeper Guaita. It's arguably the strongest squad at the moment, and United have made a number of adjustments, and for Vieira, it may really be an opportunity. Hey, if you can seize the opportunity to cut Liu Yi and Manchester United under the horse, and do what even Pep Guardiola can't do, then Vieira will become famous in one battle. If it can be done, maybe after Arteta finishes class, his teaching of Arsene will really become a reality. With the referee's whistle, the game officially began, and Crystal Palace was given the opportunity to take the lead in attacking. Welcome to the Dragon Country Football Live Room. This is the 15th round of the Premier League, Manchester United home to Crystal Palace, Jean June and Jean Guide to send you commentary. Inside Old Trafford, Liu Yi waved to the fans, and the fans shouted in unison, Your Majesty the Demon King, please stay in Old Trafford, who loves you deeply. After shouting in unison for a few minutes, in the thunderous applause, the brother song written to Liu Yi also sang himself. On the pitch, Crystal Palace's attack was launched from the left, that is, against Manchester United's right side, and Dalot broke through this time. The breakthrough technology of the London Zaha King Zaha, facing Dalot, can really play the performance of the king of the ball level. Dalot even pulled the belt, forced him to break through, comfortably sent a kick cross. Fighting for the top of this kind of thing, Maguire is still very good, directly pushed the ball out of the box, but unfortunately without Fred, Matic's protection of the second point is not in place. Crystal Palace midfielder Gallagher, directly a furious shot, the football in the air to draw a strange arc, smashed on the crossbar of the goal, bounced to the stadium outside. The Manchester United players and fans were startled, Crystal Palace's knocking on the mountain, but also really let everyone's attention quickly focus on the field. De Gea fired the ball and Nemanja Matic carried the Crystal Palace player, took a few steps forward, and passed a kick to Van der Beek. Van der Beek passed the ball directly to Anthony Martial, who carried the man down the ball and was then pushed from behind, losing control of the ball at his feet. Fortunately, Ronaldo, who came from the side, snatched the out-of-control ball back and then burst into the 30-meter area with the ball. The Crystal Palace defenders were highly nervous, with two people wrapped up in a row, and a third man not far away, ready to come up. For such a dangerous person on the field, no matter how targeted it is understandable. Ronaldo made several fake moves, the other side was not moved, could only pass the ball to Anthony Martial, and quickly killed the back of the player who let go. Anthony Martial turned around and then passed the ball again, slightly bigger. Ronaldo reluctantly pulled the ball down near the bottom line on the left, pedaled his bike with both feet, and then took advantage of the defender's lack of attention and moved the ball to the right with one foot. The ball landed at Greenwood's feet, and he made a simple adjustment to the vacated position, and the comfortable suit of his own foot shot. Unfortunately, it was too much to pursue, and the football smashed on the crossbar, so strong that the goal shook. The ball that bounced up fell into the middle of the penalty area and was released from danger by Crystal Palace fans. Terrace on the left took the ball down before the ball went out of the sideline and passed it to Ronaldo, who came out to receive him. The current position, for Luo, is a good starting position, just need to flash out a shooting route, there is a chance to score. However, Luo had a handsome left-footed bull tail, breaking through the bottom from the left side of the defender, and then passing with his left foot to the front of the goal. Inside the penalty area, Martial and Van der Beek, Greenwood tangled with McTominay, who rushed up from behind, as well as Crystal Palace's defenders. "Pay attention to your feet and be careful with the penalty?" Diarra shouted from the sidelines, directing the players to defend inside the box. As soon as the sound fell, the football appeared in the net, and the United players did not know who had entered. Anyway, a bunch of legs mixed together, it was normal to see clearly. Happy hugging together to celebrate, the big screen replayed the goal just now, and finally saw clearly, it turned out to be a oolong ball. Crystal Palace defender Guy, when the break was unblocking, the ball bounced on his heel and was knocked into the goal. Diarra held her head on the sidelines, crouched down in disbelief, and shook her fist vigorously, with a look of unacceptability. In the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room, Jean Jun began to speak. "The Crystal Palace will fall behind, presumably everyone is mentally prepared, but I didn't expect to fall behind in this way, but it is a bit surprising. Hey, in the case of conceding a goal, Crystal Palace wants to win, it is almost impossible. How can this defense defend against Luo? G is also unlucky, this ball was blocked by the goalkeeper with his body on his heel, this sacred mountain he can't do. Start with a oolong ball, Crystal Palace this tough time." Episode 123. Diarra on the sidelines was pounding her chest and feet, looking pained. A threatening shot at the beginning gave him some chances of victory, but he didn't expect the backline to surprise himself anytime soon. You have to say that criticizing Guy, he is also a victim, and you can't always criticize him for being too aggressive in defense. Liu Yi stood on the sidelines, steadily made a forward pressure to clean up, and shouted to Lindelof, "Victor." Lindelof turned back, and Liu Yi pointed to the position on the right side, signaling him to protect Dalot. Lindelof nodded, reached out and made an OK gesture to show that he understood. He had a nickname a long time ago called the Iceman, or the Swedish Iceman, because he was very calm on the field. Crystal Palace passed several times in midfield, and despite saying there were more people, United's side, in addition to Anthony Martial in front row and Greenwood also came back to defend. In the end, the ball still fell at Zaha's feet, passing the ball to Zaha and then cooperating with him to do the next development, which is the main tactic of Crystal Palace. Especially now, Zaha is facing Dalot, a completely unreliable defender in defense. What is he waiting for without a surprise? If it is basketball, now most of the coaches will give an explanation, and give the request to Triple X to let him go singles. Manchester United naturally will not let this opportunity arise. McTominay and Lindelof moved to the right at the same time, the gap in the middle of the Nemanja Matic came back to make up, and the back position became Van der Beek. Zaha successfully injured Dalot, breaking past him, and then was snatched away by the rushing Lindelof in the precise position. In the face of Zaha's pressing, Lindelof directly crossed the crotch with one heel and passed the ball to Dalot. United have gone into a counter-attack state, returning to defend Cristiano Ronaldo and Greenwood, into a sprint state. However, Anthony Martial is still in the center circle, which is a simple center-forward fulcrum tactic, not a Martial run. Dalot passed the ball from the back and found Anthony Martial accurately. Quayart, who defended Anthony Martial, pressed Anthony Martial to jump and pushed the ball back to the United half, but Matic, who was catching up, grabbed the second point. A direct kick crossed the midfield line, and Van der Beek took the opportunity to score the ball at the foot of Cristiano Ronaldo on the left. Cristiano Ronaldo, who burst and speed double, rushed up the defenders of Crystal Palace and could only constantly retreat to prevent himself from being passed by Ronaldo. Having your doorman face Ronaldo directly is a sin. Luo seemed to be back to his youth, running with the ball fast, his body swayed sharply, his feet constantly pedaling the bicycle at the same time, and the left and right constantly changed towards body twisted sharply. Directly one stumbled and fell to the ground. Shin grabbed Luo and touched the solid and powerful thigh. From the right side of Ward at the end, Ronaldo broke through to the front of the penalty area, his eyes staring in the direction of the goal, and a sudden fake action under his feet sent the football to the feet of the unguarded Greenwood. Greenwood was about to get up and shoot when he suddenly saw Luo step forward and pick up the ball in his heart. Ronaldo picked it up high and easily lowered the ball a little, the ball smashed to the ground, the goalkeeper flew to save the ball, and the ball bounced off his knight and rolled into the goal. Accompanied by Ronaldo's iconic celebratory action, the fans of the whole stadium suited 3i. The live camera looked at Liu Yi on the sidelines in time, but saw that Liu Yi also learned to make a celebratory action with Luo, which immediately amused everyone. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun smiled and gave the fans popular science. This action of our Liu Yi is undoubtedly better than that of Ancelotti, but this action is only good if Luo makes it. How do others see how to be in the second? Hey, this can't be said. Ancelotti is much older than Liu Yi, and Luo is not good looking at first, but everyone is used to it. Immediately afterwards, Jean Jun had a sense of beginning, knowing Liu Yi's tactics, the execution and strong strength of Manchester United players. Look at Manchester United now, scoring is so simple, every time they start at the back, they give people a feeling that the ball is going to be scored. This creates a huge pressure on the opponent, making them all high concentration and easy to get tired and distracted. Just this goal mainly reflects Luo's personal ability, from the breakthrough with the ball to the split goal, and then to the breakthrough into the box header to break the goal. The water came naturally. Greenwood's assist is also very good, everyone thinks it's going to shoot too, and it has become a plea. In the 15th minute of the game, Ronaldo's goal rewrote the score to 2-0. Crystal Palace's entry into the palace was obviously much more cautious, and began a large-scale mobilization, in a vain attempt to find the loopholes of Manchester United through passes. In fact, there really is. In normal games, Manchester United also has many mistakes, but the ability of both sides to seize opportunities, the gap is really too big. It was Zaha who broke through Dalot again, and under the defense of Lindelof, sent out a precise cross, and Matic slowed down a little and did not return to Lindelof's position. Crystal Palace striker John Dan Ayew finally got his chance to shoot, a volley with a large body tilt, and the ball went straight to the goal. Fortunately, De Gea's attention has been kept in a high concentration, the ball is so strong that he hits the ball out with both hands. Outside the penalty area, Gallagher, Crystal Palace's central player this season, shot straight at a distance. The ball went straight to the dead end, and De Gea stretched his body as much as possible, but it was too late to get off the ground, and the football passed under his liquid. It's over, it's broken. De Gea thought in his heart, but heard the fans start cheering, turned his head to see that Theses was climbing up from the goal line behind him, and he blocked the shot with his body. Rising up, Terrace passed the ball straight out, and Greenwood on the right got the ball, carried the man with a few steps, felt that the attack slowed down, and quickly passed the ball to Van der Beek. Van der Beek sent the ball to the front, Martial did not speed up, now it is too late to open his legs, and the football looks like it is about to be controlled by Quat. Just then, a red figure flashed in front of people's eyes, preempting Kuyat and taking the football away. See Ronaldo's snatch, Schuncher broke through the defense of the back of Crystal Palace, and between him and the goalkeeper, only Tompkins had a central defender, more than 20 meters away. I looked at the goal, adjusted slightly, and got my right foot up directly during the run. The soccer ball went straight to the stands in the air, and when it was about 10 meters away from the goal, it suddenly fell sharply, rubbing the crossbar and falling into the goal. Goa kawa 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 kawa. The goal is Cristiano Ronaldo. The fans shouted the hero's name, and Luo stood near the flag area with his hands outstretched, closing his eyes and making a listening appearance. Greenwood took the lead in throwing himself into his arms, and Martial and the others rushed up, and everyone hugged together. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun suddenly shouted, "The ball is in, the goal is Luo." He kicked out an elevator ball in the running with the ball, so beautiful. Unstoppable Luo, unstoppable Manchester United, unstoppable Liu Yi. Episode 124. The game has only been played for 20 minutes, Romero has opened twice, and he has made a oolong ball, which Crystal Palace manager Evra said before the game is doomed to not happen. As for avenging old club Arsenal, it's even more of a joke. Judging from Luo's state, I am afraid that it is another massacre, and the only thing people are looking forward to so far in the game is when Luo will score a hat-trick and how many goals Manchester United will score. Evira, who was on the sidelines, half-crouched on the ground, hammered the ground several times hard, and returned to the coaching bench in anger. Seemingly dissatisfied, he took a sip of the water bottle in his hand and smashed it directly on the ground, the water splashing around, and the pants were wet. After finishing the matter, he came to the sideline again, waving his hands vigorously and boosting his morale. Concentrate, increase the intensity of the confrontation, and don't let them shoot easily. At this point, Evira did not want to take revenge at all. What to win this game, the only thing he wanted to think about was how to prevent a rout from happening. The players of Crystal Palace, after receiving the instructions of the head coach, began to subconsciously amplify the action, as long as it is not malicious to hurt people, all kinds of small actions and fierce tackles, one after another. For a moment, the rhythm of Manchester United's game was disrupted, the midfield was chaotic, and the referee's whistle kept sounding. Liu Yi came to the sideline from the coach's bench and looked at the gloomy Evra with a smile in his heart. "Brother, this is our Manchester United home stadium, you are so neatly afraid of one less person to play?" There were also boos from Manchester United fans in the stadium, and it was natural to be very dissatisfied with Crystal Palace's way of playing, and the smooth and silky conduction and attack were what everyone liked to watch. Physical confrontation, not a constant foul, the game has been intermittent, what does it mean? After a brief period of chaos, Manchester United's midfielder Scott McTominay, struggling to fight the other side, did not fall behind at all, and this is what he is best at. Liu Yi commanded Maddox's position to retreat again, almost all of them became the three centre-backs, and the middle one used a free man. Such a withdrawal, space and position came out, Manchester United chose to give up in the midfield and the other side of the hard confrontation. After all, their own players are treasures, hurt a Liu Yi himself is painful. Van der Beek is accustomed to a corner ball and is not afraid of the oppression of the other side. McTominay specifically looks for the other side to fight, and for a time the Crystal Palace's midfield is in chaos. Anthony Martial, who had a hard time getting the ball, slammed the ball on Van der Beek with his heel and ran to the front himself. The next second, the ball at Van der Beek's feet was passed back to him. Martial broke through with the ball, although the speed did not know where it went, but the ball sense and rhythm were still some. Facing Schrupp's defense, several fake moves in a row under the feet, and then a man split the ball. Schrupp decisively got off his feet, shoved the ball away from under his feet, and put people on the ground by the way, without fouling. This tackle is very clean and beautiful. Van der Beek was right behind and pushed the ball straight past the Crystal Palace midfield. Luo quickly rushed up, dodged the sliding shovel of Kuyat on the other side, and continued to chase forward. The Crystal Palace defenders wanted to come out, but were afraid of being overthrown by Luo, and before they could hesitate, the football had been controlled by Luo, and Greenwood on the other side had been killed. Did a shot of the fake action, directly in front of the ward shake away, Ronaldo directly crossed more than 10 meters, will be close to the feet of Greenwood with the ball into the box, and then swept to the goal. Luo rushed up, even people were thrown out of the ground. Want a shovel to send the ball into the goal, unfortunately such a big action, and finally shoveled a lonely, has been entangled with him Tompkins, the first step to touch the ball. Another oolong ball. Evira, on the sidelines, holding his head in both hands, turned around twice in place, stunned. How can he play like this? In the Dragon Country live room, Jean June, if he were not a professional, would definitely laugh out. Crystal Palace have scored 2 goals against Manchester United, but now the score is 4-0, and you say who you are looking for. Hey, in fact, these 2 balls, that is, Crystal Palace does not have a oolong, most of the Manchester United players will also score. Liu Yi smiled and watched the brother next door perform, and there was no desire to celebrate. The oolong ball did not have his own people to play in after all, which was even more painful. In the middle of the field, Luo also hammered the ground hard, looked at the goal in front of him, and felt a little strange. But still get up and run to the sidelines, to celebrate with his teammates. The game went on, and Crystal Palace had 2 sharp counterattacks, allowing De Gea to make a save, lest he wear too few clothes and don't exercise much, so that he catches a cold. By the 39th minute, United had another chance to score. Maguire brought the ball into the front and split the ball to Van der Beek, who went straight to Greenwood on the right. In this game, perhaps sensing the charm of passing, Greenwood struck a direct cross and was then snatched by the defender to the first point to top out. Anthony Martial got the second point outside, which is naturally good, but why do you run outside as a center to grab the second point instead of trying to score in the box? Trying to break through on his own, unable to shake his opponent away, Martial made a few moves, and luckily passed the stroke to the terrace who came from the left road. Naturally, the terrace was not ambiguous, aiming at the top of Luo's head in the penalty area, that is, a 45-degree explosion, and the ball was crossed. Ronaldo jumped up high, found that he did not have a top spot, and chose to give the ball to Greenwood. Less than 3 meters from goal, Greenwood did not hesitate to get up on his side and hit the goal, then was pounced on by goalkeeper Guida, but did not hold the ball in his hand. Luo, who had just stood firmly, stretched out his foot at the first time, but the defender was faster than his foot. In this round of defense, Kuyat, who has been carrying Robert, made a mistake in his busy life, accidentally picked the ball with the side of his foot, and the ball crossed the arm of the goalkeeper and jumped into the back of the goal that he got well. Beep. The referee's whistle sounded, his hands pointed to the middle line of the court, and the goal was valid. Diarra covered her face with both hands, crouched on the sidelines, her mind was about to jump. What is this Naima called? In the Longwell live broadcast room, Zhang Jun was analyzing the ball, when suddenly Zhang Guan interjected. I suddenly realized a problem. If these two oolong balls are not touched by the Crystal Palace defenders, then Luo has a chance to score. It seems that this is to destroy Ronaldo's hat-trick. He. What Zhang said makes sense. Don't let Luo score. The best way is to kick the ball in before see Ronaldo. Ha. There is little time left in the first half, and Cristiano Ronaldo's consecutive hat-tricks are going to stop today? The whole piece of power outage, Dark holding the notebook written out. Thank you friends for support. There is a little electricity to continue the code word. I hope to call early. Episode 125. Time passed minute by minute, closer and closer to the end of the first half. Everyone suddenly realized a problem. The first half was 5 o'clock, and in the second half, see Ronaldo will definitely go down to rest. Teammates stepped up their efforts and gave Luo a pass at the chance. Faye and Pogba in the stands have also stood up and nervously looked at their teammates who were fighting in the field. The fans of the whole stadium also stood up from their seats and began the chorus of the whole stadium, Viva, Ronaldo's singing, sung from tens of thousands of people, reverberating throughout Old Trafford, passing the blessings of the fans to the field. C. Luo got 3 consecutive shots, one was blocked by a defender, one saved by the goalkeeper, and the other time directly did not kick the right part, and sat himself on the ground. The camera shone on his face, a silly smile, feeling like he was amusing himself. Liu Yi on the sidelines was anxious, looked at his watch, less than 2 minutes left from the end of the game, this is still counting stoppage time, whether to use a goal card to let Luo complete the hat trick. But the problem is that even if the goal card is used, the goal may not be Luo. I can only guarantee that I will score a goal, and I have a headache. Go on, don't stand by me, enter politics. Liu Yi was on the sidelines, waving his arms, constantly shouting, and giving orders to the players on the field. When he first became the head coach of Manchester United, Liu Yi was known as an ugly monkey, a clown, etc., but now he is a passionate manager and a domineering demon king. Li Zongxing has a lyric that sings well, years you don't urge, I don't push when I should come, I should pay it back, I give it to me. The game entered stoppage time, no one was injured in the first half, only 1 minute of stoppage time was given, and the referee had already begun to look at the watch. Manchester United's attacking Crystal Palace all returned to defend near the box, not giving Manchester United a chance to get up at all. Looking up, there were people in front of the goal. But everyone is also anxious, at least on the surface, moving the ball quickly on the perimeter, and the players are also moving through the gaps, trying to bring defensive players. McTominay was one of them, with Dalot kicking off the right in the final moments and the ball miraculously landed at McTominay's feet, then at least 3 players, squeezing him to the ground. There were even 2 feet that could not be stopped, directly kicked to his small retreat, the lower abdomen because there were too many people, the referee did not see clearly, so directly blew the goal, ready to wait for the kickoff to blow the whistle at the end of the first half of the game. No, at least the first half of Luo's hat-trick is impossible. In the live broadcast room, Zhang Jun said with some feelings. However, the peak of the road turns, and the world is uncertain. Just as Liu Yi shook his head and prepared to return to his own half to wait for the kickoff, the referee suddenly blew the whistle and signaled the game to be suspended. The voice of the video referee came from the headset, saying that it had just happened in the penalty area and wanted him to go and see it. Referee Craig Boson was responsible for running to the sidelines to watch the video replay, which was also being played back on the big screen in the field. No doubt a penalty. Manchester United fans began to get excited, and sure enough, Luo's hat-trick was unstoppable, even if it was a oolong ball. A few tens of seconds later, the referee pointed inside the penalty area and sentenced Crystal Palace to a capital penalty and a penalty. C. Luo stood at the penalty spot holding the ball, and the teammates around him came over one by one to pat him on the shoulder and give him encouragement. It wasn't the most important penalty of his life, not even a break or a corkage penalty, but everyone just wanted him to get in. Penalty technique, Luo naturally is unquestionable, even in the game system, it has reached 19, almost full value. The referee blew the whistle, and Ronaldo stood quietly in place, staring at the goalkeeper for a few seconds. The goalkeeper jumped left and right on the goal line, hoping to interfere with Luo, but it can be seen from C. Luo's expression that this behavior is better than nothing. Listening to the thunder in the silence, C. Luo suddenly got up and shot at the goal. Goalkeeper Guida pounced on the right, and the moment he pounced, he knew he had lost, and Ronaldo's penalty went straight to the middle. C. Luo got up and shot at the goal, and then did not look at whether the ball was in or not, turned around and opened his arms, and the letter platform came to his head. The shouts and applause of the Manchester United fans behind him exploded from the quiet Old Trafford in an instant. The ball is in. What scored was our hero? The roar of the live narrators at Old Trafford. Cristiano Ronaldo. The echoes of more than 70,000 Manchester United fans shouted the name of Lo, the man who enjoyed everything. Such a sound has been sounded more than once, even in this game, it has been sounded for the third time, but the fans are always happy. The players hugged Luo and then raised their arms to celebrate his goal. At the age of 37 right away, 8 hat-tricks in a row, including strong dialogue, such a record is simply a child's hearing. Not only have goals, but Ro has a lot of assists, and it's normal for you to say that such players are not convinced by the world's best selection. In the game, you can always see him creating opportunities for his teammates, and titles like unique or cancerous should not appear in him. The referee did not let Crystal Palace continue to kick off, directly blowing the whistle at the end of the game. Diarra had left the sidelines early and returned to the dressing room, presumably to study if it was a difficult second half. The players have obviously lost their spirits, and 3 consecutive oolong balls are simply crazy. Liu Yi waited for the players on the sidelines with a smile on his face, and then clapped them one by one, and when it was Ronaldo's turn, the two embraced. After patting Ronaldo's ass behind him, Liu Yi made a joke. "Lao Luo, you almost lost the opportunity to rest in the second half. It doesn't matter if you score a hat, what matters is that the team wins." C. Luo is very open, the hat-trick is continuous to the 8th, he himself is already numb, ready to end at any time. "How can that work? As long as I get permission, it will stop." C. Luo looked at Liu Yi and felt that his head coach, the boss, and the half-brother, were simply like a mysterious magician. "How many more rounds do you think I can last?" "We Longwa people pay attention to perfection, 10 rounds under me, take the one you had in the national team before, it was a hat-trick, is it not very strong?" Liu Yi patted C. Luo's shoulder and took the lead in walking towards the locker room, and C. Luo quickly followed up, looking like a follower. In the first half of the match between Manchester United and Crystal Palace, each side scored 3 goals, and the score was Manchester United 6 o'clock Water K Crystal Palace. Episode 126. In the locker room, Liu Yi changed Luo down to rest according to his previous arrangement. In his place was Marcus Rashford, who was somewhat useful in the first half, despite his lack of presence, and left him for a while. Bailey, who has submitted a transfer application, is regretful and is trying to withdraw his transfer application, of course, provided that the understanding of the boss is obtained. Of the other substitutes, Mata is completely out of gas, and Matic doesn't have enough physical strength to play an entire game and have to prepare him for a substitution to look at the 19-year-old boy, who has been playing in the U23 recently. "I have patronized the main players and substitutes, and I should give these children a little chance to show that I am a head coach who attaches importance to youth training and likes to cultivate players. After all, this is a society full of people, and as a head coach, you also have to build your own personality." Mourinho's madness, Pep Guardiola's wisdom, Klopp's wildness, Wenger's elegance, and even Zidane's metaphysics are all deeply personal labels that are perfect for building their personal brand. Mourinho's photo of the king's presence and the camera surround him attracted countless fans for him. Klopp on the pitch, the excited farmers 3 punches, but also let the Liverpool fans shout addicted. Pep Guardiola is a genius from time to time, of course, the whole life has made Manchester City fans full of bitterness, and the hand 2 goals are also victims. Wenger's always gentle and elegant image, even when he quarreled with Mourinho, the media criticized Mourinho for bullying honest people. In fact, they are all 1,000-year-old foxes, and they just play a chat with each other. There is nothing to set up tactically, under the Super Manchester United mode, Crystal Palace simply can't stand it, it's just a victim. According to Liu Yi's idea, it was enough for the whole audience to have a 6 o'clock, but he stayed up late to read the file for one night, and did not read out a 6 o'clock score, and could only say sorry to the Crystal Palace in his heart, he did not mean it. The second half of the game began, the players returned to the field, the 2 sides exchanged venues, and the game continued. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun and Jean Coach appeared in front of everyone on time. "Welcome back to all fans and friends, this is the 15th round of the Premier League, Manchester United host the second half of Crystal Palace," and director Jean continued to explain for everyone. Hey. In the first half, Manchester United went into the dressing room with a 6-goal advantage. We don't expect Crystal Palace to do miracles. Let's see how many goals Manchester United can score in the second half, or if Crystal Palace can score a goal to save face. Jean coaches you not to say, so far in the whole Premier League and Champions League matches, no one has been able to score a face-saving goal here in Liu Yi. Let's see the situation on the field. Liu really left the rest on time, and in his place was Marcus Rashford, who is also a speed maniac, and may not run fast. Lin Huang lingered warms up on the sidelines, and the youngster Diallo may also get the opportunity to play in the second half. After all, proper rotation is still very necessary. Liu Yi has also started to give young people opportunities. Of course, Manchester United's players such as Greenwood and Marcus Rashford are also very young. Compared to the first half of the game, the second half of the Crystal Palace invested more physical confrontation, completely disrupting the game. According to Vieira's idea, presumably everyone should not be happy, at least not to let you continue the comfortable game. Following the color of the well ball only 10 minutes before the second half, Crystal Palace received 3 yellow cards, more than 10 foul tackles. Van der Beek, who was in tandem with midfielders, received the most care and was put down 3 times in a row. In the 56th minute of the match, Lindelof started directly at the back and a wide long pass fell in front of Rashford. Rashford was 2 or 3 meters away from the defenders in front of him, and he chased after him with gritted teeth. Successfully bypassing Ward, who was defending him, knocked the ball out one step at a time. The speed had been increased to the extreme, and then a huge force came from behind him, directly knocking him to the ground. Rashford, who was speeding up, was pushed by a dog to chew mud and made a face break. Drip. The referee blew the whistle in time, then pointed to the place where Rashford fell, and awarded a free kick, more than 30 meters away. Helplessly, he got up from the ground and extended his arms to signal to the referee. The referee looked at the grass on Rashford's face and showed Ward a yellow card, the 4th longest yellow card since Crystal Palace started the second half. There is no doubt that from the point of view of the score between the two sides, in the first 10 minutes of the second half, Manchester United had fewer shooting opportunities and no goals. Taking a deep breath, Marcus Rashford stood in front of the football and looked in the direction of the goal. What's wrong with 30 meters? 30 meters of free kicks is not unscored, and today you have to kick this ball in. Gritting his teeth and swearing in his heart, he looked at the side of the field. Liu Yi gave Marcus Rashford a thumbs up, signaling him to be assured of a bold attack. No psychological pressure, no one can guarantee that every goal will be scored. The distance was relatively far, and Master Law took 6 steps back, learning to stand like a compass in the form of Liu. He has recently learned a lot with Liu, shooting and free kicking, and even dribbling skills. Liu has also taught him a lot, even standing and defensive experience. The referee's whistle sounded, and the master ran quickly, with his body as a bow, his legs as a string, and the ball as an arrow. The ball is like a shooting star, turning into a white light flashing through the stadium, and even faintly can hear the sound of breaking the air. Crystal Palace goalkeeper Guardiola had just raised his hand, and the football had already entered the goal with a stream of air and rubbed the upright. Master Law opened his mouth and roared angrily, ran to the side of the field with a cigarette, and learned Liu's celebratory action. Other teammates also followed one after another, several Yi in a row, but someone did not stand still, directly fell to the ground on the side of the field. Liu Yi also slammed his fists, a wave of boxing actions in a row, venting a wave of depression in his heart. Well done, Marcus. On the other side of the coach's seat, Vieira held her head with both hands and looked at the ground, helpless. Straight to pull the master to score, Liu Yi on this side of the big hand to change people, Lingard came on the field to replace the exhausted Nemanja Matic, let Van der Beek return to the backfield, the young General Ahmad came out to replace Marshall and let Greenwood go to the middle. At this time, the vitality of Manchester United's midfield has been greatly increased, and as for defensive problems, Crystal Palace is now only trying not to concede the ball, and does not think about attacking at all. And Manchester United's attack is still continuing. The newly played Lin Huang has become the offensive core of the front court, and everyone cooperates with him to run in parallel to the 9th place. Episode 127. The score was finally fixed at 9 o'clock, and Lin Huang, who came on as a substitute, led the team without giving Crystal Palace any chance. First, he received a pass from Marcus Rashford, a dashing provocative shot that scored the team's 8th goal. Towards the end of the game, he received another pass from Ahmad, and after consecutive coordination, handed the ball to Greenwood to complete the final blow. Crystal Palace did not get any red cards in the case of large-scale fouls at half, but instead received 6 yellow cards. In the post-match press conference, Vieira complained that the referee was too strict. We shouldn't get so many yellow cards that the players are cautious and dare not make moves. Rashford, who was also being interviewed, showed his legs out, and there were several obvious blood marks on the two retreats. Vieira made some excuses for himself. It was clear that luck was on United's side. We scored 3 Oolong goals and destroyed the confidence of the players. When the reporter asked Liu Yi for his opinion on this remark, Liu Yi showed a sad expression. I forgive him and his players for the crimes they have committed against us. Indeed, until the last moments of the game, Liu Yi was still thinking about whether to use a gold card to make the score double digits. In the end, he forcibly pressed the devil in his heart and chose a score of 9 o'clock, and Bai Yi saw that he was already very stabbed. The post-match fishing wheel also focused on the content of this game, mainly the big moves of the Crystal Palace players, and in the eyes of many technical teams, Manchester United did not suffer a fair penalty. The scars on Rashford's 2 legs are also constantly being brought up and spread throughout the internet. However, there are also people defending Crystal Palace, and the Times football commentator put the matter back in place. The little attempt made by Crystal Palace on the way to stop Manchester United is also part of the confrontation between the coaches of the two sides. Many coaches have noticed that Manchester United suddenly encountered a large number of physical confrontations in the 45 to 58 minutes of the second half, and the attack was weakened and almost misunderstood, and the two sides were on the same level. So this is a useful attempt, at least to provide a reference for other teams. Manchester United players are also afraid of injury, but also afraid of a serious collision that will affect their careers. For many people, playing football is nothing more than a job, to earn money and mix a reputation. But there are also many people who believe that football represents faith and hope, and it is also the dream they have pursued since childhood. The figure of 19-year-old Ahmed, running on the court, greatly stimulated Liu Yi. Think about the young players in China, but also rely on the Dragon Football Council Young Player Protection Policy, in order to get the opportunity to play. After a simple celebration in the locker room, Liu Yi gave everyone a holiday on the spot according to the custom. As usual, Carrick was about to leave when Liu Yi's voice came from behind him. Michael, let's talk. Carrick's heart moved, and then he sighed. It should still come. It seems that after McKenna and Ferran, he will also be driven away. Boss, is there anything to command? Michael, after this game at Crystal Palace, the team behind will definitely take a lot of tactics against our team, take some big moves. You go back and think about it and see how you can avoid the injury of the players and curb this tactic of the opponent. Not to expel yourself? The two had been together for more than a month, and in Carrick's memory, this was the first time Liu Yi had talked to himself about tactical things, and he was teaching himself something. At the same time, I was shocked by Liu Yi's foresight and insight, which was the end of the game. He had already considered the next game, but what he was thinking about was to hurry home and go home to have a good rest. For Liu Yi to be more and more convinced, he immediately lowered his head slightly. I'll think about it. Work hard, Michael. Maybe one day we'll each take our teams and play a duel in the Champions League. Liu Yi patted Carrick's shoulder and smiled as he headed for the parking lot. Although Liu Yi is much younger than himself, he has made such actions and encouragement, but Carrick feels very warm, and there is a lot of motivation in his heart. Still driving the Dragon Flag H9 Plus car, there is also a huge icon of Manchester United on it, which looks particularly conspicuous. Reporters waiting outside the parking lot, Kakaka Kashiwa photos. Liu Yi also signed a few fans by the way, which and everyone waved away. Liu Yi's endorsement effect has been initially highlighted. The overseas monthly sales of Longqi series have exceeded 2,000, and the number last month was 230. Unexpectedly, the best place to sell is the island country, mainly the Island United fans. There are too many. Sales reached 760 vehicles. The second place is Dubai, which has sold more than 500 vehicles, but for the local tycoons here, it may be to buy one and go back to eat ashes. It is conceivable that how much fandom has been caused within Longqi, and the parent company of Longqi, the chairman of Longhua FAW, decided for the first time that when the meeting was held at the end of this year, Liu Yi must be invited back to let him feel the enthusiasm of Longqi people. Bozzetting down jackets in foreign stores, there are also people queuing. Many people have gone straight to the counter, asking to buy a Liu Yi's same down jacket. On the TikTok of the Foreign Fire, a blonde foreign young lady is holding a Liu Yi same down jacket in her hand, with sad music, and the awkward performance of the affectionate model. I can't get Liu Yi's people, but I can at least sleep with the same down jacket as him. This is all a doggy thing, and then got more than 100,000 likes, which is difficult to understand. Of course, you can understand that the white camouflage down jacket with black silk long legs is also very attractive. Where will the SBS pay attention to what the content is? See this collocation directly like. After returning home, Liu Yi directly took out the computer and entered the game. The item flipped through and directly clicked to use a Rising Star player card, and a golden light exploded on the screen, and a series of figures appeared in it, constantly flashing. The whole process lasted for 30 seconds, and finally a young man appeared on Liu Yi's computer screen, with specific information about him. Just by seeing the appearance of this child, Liu Yi was particularly surprised. It seems that this game system is worthy of his own people, and he has won my heart. Episode 128. Name, Dao Yaodong. Nationality, Dragon Country. Date of birth, May 2006. Place of birth, Jianzhou City, Liaodong Province, Dragon Country. Specific attributes can only be viewed after the player officially becomes a member of Manchester United. Yes, the first time I opened a person of my own, it was indeed a good system of my own. Liu Yi greatly praised the system in his heart, really powerful. This young man is very spiritual, only 14 to 15 years old, the height has reached 169, and he can grow at least 10 centimeters in the future, except for the goalkeeper and the central defender, the height of any position is enough. The key is that the appearance is also very handsome, enough to have the 7 points of Coach Liu's style. Even if it is a little longer disabled in the future, it is also a handsome man. For the current Longwa football, it is indeed necessary to be handsome, even if it is to hype the rice circle culture, but also to let the football survive first, attract a large number of fans to enter the stadium, pay for football. This is the most critical. Just when his heart was rejoicing, Dao Yaodong's photo suddenly began to flash red. Warning, 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 the player is in danger, ready to leave the football industry at any time. The state of Jingdian Shinko is in extreme turmoil. The system released the mission, save the little player in crisis, save a genius who can save the Dragon Kingdom football, and take action. Mission reward, none. Lying in the groove, Liu Yi directly looked at the mask, not to mention the problem of task rewards, but he did not know how to start. Just because he knows his birthplace, doesn't mean he's in his birthplace right now. As for the crisis he encountered, he could understand that the age of 14 or 15 years old was just the watershed between continuing to play football or going to high school. Maybe it was family reasons, but what could he do? Paralysis is not to say that there is no reward, even if it is to deduct something. He is willing to save a player with such a high system evaluation. Unfortunately, there is no prompt outside the system for the first time. After half a day of busy work, searching for information about this name on the computer for half a day, the result was naturally nothing. Decadently sitting down on the couch, he shook his fist very fiercely. What the should I do? In a match of a youth team in a city in a distant dragon country, a handsome boy sat on the sidelines for the entire game. He started playing football at the age of 5, and everyone who met him praised his skills, his sense of ball and his ball quotient, and even told him that he could play in the Dragon Super League in the future and become a member of the national team. The national team, what a proud thing to be able to represent the country and compete in the world competition. 8 or 9 years have passed, everything is very smooth, and there is even a Dragon Super team that is willing to take him to the youth team, but he hopes to go after secondary school, and the other party will give up. Some time ago, there were some changes in the team, and then he could not play for 3 consecutive months, and someone hinted at him overtly and implicitly, but he was not willing to accept it. What is even more infuriating is that some time ago, his mother came to the team to ask about him, and only 10 minutes later, she left with tears of anger on her face. Then someone got into a fight with him, saying that his mother had slept with the coach, or the coach would have kicked him out of the team. Naturally, he did not eat this set. The young man did not fight. What a young man. The result is that he was expelled from the team, can only keep following the training every day, and the young man is only warned. He himself had heard about some of the darkness of dragon football, and at first he didn't believe it, and young people always believed that there was a lot better in this world. The result now fell on him, but he had to accept it. With a sense of exhaustion and powerlessness, I returned home. Maybe I really don't fit to take this road. Anyway, the study is not bad, and I can get into a good university after working hard. Standing at the door, cheering up, reaching out and knocking on the door, he did not want his mother to worry about himself. Since his father left the world in a car accident when he was 10 years old, his mother had been pulling himself up alone. He was more mature and sensible than ordinary people. Inside the door, a beautiful young woman with a somewhat confused and dull expression heard a knock at the door, quickly sorted out her image, revealed a smile, and opened the door from the inside. Xiaodong is back. Did he play today? Mom, I don't want to play football anymore. It doesn't mean anything. Dao Yaodong carefully placed the equipment bag in the doorway, walked past his mother with his head bowed, and then sat on the sofa with the whole person pretending to be indifferent. Xiaodong, my mother has no ability, or my mother will go to invite your coach to have a meal at night. The mother sits next to her son, and she doesn't know her son's dream mouth hobbies. Dao Yaodong jumped up directly from the sofa and looked at his mother. Even if she was a beautiful woman who was not worse than a star, the traces left by the years on her body only added charm. Mom, you can't go. This ball loves who kicks. Anyway, I don't kick. Quickly ran to the front of his equipment bag, picked up the bag with one hand, opened the window with the other hand, and directly threw the equipment bag out. The mother sat on the sofa, silently shedding tears. She is a weak woman, what can she do? Mom, I don't play football, I won't let them bully you, my studies are not bad, and I can get ahead of the crowd in the future. Gao Yaodong crouched beside his mother's leg and looked at his mother. Tsinghua Peking University has such a good exam, you will live well in the future, live happily, and your mother will be very satisfied. Lin Xiuyue wiped her tears and reached out to rub her son's head. Mother and son snuggled together, and there is too much helplessness in this world, how can everyone do what they want? After staying for a while, Gao Yaodong suddenly thought of something, looked up at his mother. Mom, I went out to throw away the garbage, I haven't eaten braised meat for a long time, you make me a gaba. Lin Xiuyue nodded, she didn't know what her son wanted to do. Gao Yaodong, carrying garbage, ran out with a cigarette, and a few minutes later Lin Xiuyue stood at the window, looking at the street lamp under the building. His son was holding the equipment bag, crouching by the garbage can in a daze. Tears flowed out again, and she secretly made up her mind that no matter what the cost, she must let her son play the ball, at any price. Liu Yi, who is far away in Manchester, is already going crazy, and the portrait of Gao Yaodong on the computer screen has slowly faded. It's not a matter of wasting cards, it's about opening a Dragon Country player who is highly rated by the system, and the ghost knows when there will be a next time. This fucking is also the football dream of saving a teenager, dog day. Hu went out, Liu Yi took out his mobile phone, and for the first time took the initiative to dial Lu Han's phone. He was going to pull down his face and ask for someone. Episode 129. When Liu Yi called Lu Han, Longguo was already 12 o'clock in the evening, and Lu Han was already asleep. Fortunately, when he sleeps, he does not mute the phone or turn it off. When I was just woken up by the phone, my psychology was still a little irritated, but when I saw Liu Yi's 2 words, I woke up in an instant, and I called myself in the middle of the night, there must be something important. To make things clear in 2 words, Liu Yi needs someone who is familiar with all aspects of football in Golden State to urgently find someone. Liu Yi has almost no contacts in China, and can only hope that Lu Han can know a few. Fortunately, Lu Han really knew and soon found a person, the famous Golden State player in China, Wang Xiaolei, the main goalkeeper of Ludong team. As an athlete, it is naturally very important to rest, not to mention that Wang Xiaolei is now at the end of his career, and naturally he must cultivate his personality and adjust his body to let himself play for a few more years. However, Lu Han still called him. Wang Xiaolei just happened to have no game recently, heard that Liu Yi was looking for him, and did not hesitate to get up from bed. And Manchester United manager, when the red football fried chicken car relationship, not to mention Wang Xiaolei himself is also a fan of Liu Yi, no matter what it is not to be tolerated. At 1 o'clock in the morning of Longguo time, Wang Xiaolei and Liu Yi talked on the phone. The two did not have any friendship, naturally they said things directly. I heard that it was to find a 14 or 5-year-old small player, and they were very anxious. Wang Xiaolei immediately promised Liu Yi and gave him an answer as quickly as possible. Late at night, Gao Yaodong and his mother were lying in their rooms, turning over and unable to sleep. They also did not expect that there was a group of people who had been awakened from their sleep and began to run for Gao Yaodong's future, all of whom Wang Xiaolei could trust. He came to Wang Xiaolei himself, directly booked the ticket from the Magic Capital to the Golden State tomorrow morning, and prepared to go to the Golden State personally in the morning, so as not to cause any problems. After calling Wang Xiaolei, Liu Yi thought of interviewing an agent for himself 2 days ago to represent his business in China. Just use this thing as his interview task. Of course, the system to the designated person, Liu Yi is still very trusting. Immediately a phone call passed. This person is naturally Zhao Lingyue. 2 days after his interview, Mendez personally video interviewed, asked some professional questions, and then let him wait for the news. According to his own answer, Zhao Lingyue then reviewed it, feeling that he could play at least 80 points or more, and should still have some certainty. One of them is that the mobile phone is connected 24 hours a day, even during the interview. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Zhao Lingyue was sleeping soundly with his daughter-in-law, when he was suddenly awakened by the ringing of his mobile phone and looked at a number from abroad. At first, I thought it was a scam call, but when I saw that the phone number was British, I immediately had some ideas in my heart and picked it up. Hello Mr. Zhao, I am Liu Yi's daughter. Liu Yi? Yes, Manchester United manager Liu Yi, it will be your boss if there is no accident. Liu Yi's doubts about the other party are also understandable, so he explained one more sentence. Zhao Lingyue immediately woke up, talked to his wife who was confused, and then came to the living room and sat down and poured a glass of water. If you're confused about my identity, we can have a video chat. That couldn't be better. Zhao Lingyue showed great caution. Of course, if he was an agent of Liu Yi in the future, then caution was a good quality. The video was connected, and sure enough, it was the people who had seen it in the news and the video, and Zhao Lingyue was immediately relieved. Mr. Zhao is embarrassed to call you in the middle of the night, but I am in a hurry now and need you to help me deal with it. No problem, please come in. Zhao Lingyue was excited, because since this phone call came, it meant that his interview had passed, and now he was the head coach of popular football and the agent in the Longhua area. The matter is very obvious. Zhao Lingyue, as a lawyer, naturally has the ability to understand. And he has also taken over some problems in domestic football circles before, and he already has some understanding of what this teenage player may face. It's nothing more than money and bullying from the coaching level, and maybe even some excesses. Rest assured, the boss will definitely bring Gao Yaodong to you in its entirety, and wait for my good news. After doing all this, Liu Yi also let out a long breath. He had done everything he could, and on the computer screen in front of him, Gao Yaodong's head appeared a countdown of 18 hours. It means that within 18 hours, if I can't find him, something could happen that destroys his football dreams. No way. The next day, Liu Yi came to the training base early and waited in the office for Carrick to arrive. Michael has something he wants to consult you about. As the head coach of the first team, he arranged for a teenager to come to the team for trial, and the most important thing is that his country is a country with football crotch, which makes Liu Yi feel a little embarrassed. Seeing the usually confident coach suddenly becoming a little twisted, Carrick was suddenly a little curious. Is it that the coach has been single for too long and wants to find a place to relax? For their future in the team, suddenly feel confident. After all, the feelings between men, this relationship has always been very iron. I know everything. Carrick raised an eyebrow, looking like I was a knowledgeable person. That. Looking at Liu Yi's twisted and pinched look, Carrick felt more and more that his guess was right, and he must have been unable to bear loneliness, but as a fierce man, this is also a normal thing. So, do our club have any regulations on youth training? Okay, Zhao. Youth? Carrick was a little confused. Are you twisting and pinching around the bend for half a day, just for this matter? What is so embarrassing about this? Since he had opened his mouth, Liu Yi also opened his eyes and carefully questioned Carrick about his doubts. Boss, according to your current status and prestige in the club, let alone invite a child to come to the trial, even if it is directly arranged to the team, no one dares to say anything. It's not going to break the rules. Looking at Carrick's speechless look, Liu Yi finally made sure that there was no problem, and made a phone call to bring Manchester United's youth director Jimmy Lane. And in the distant Dragon Kingdom, Wang Xiaoliku X Mai finally found out that this child named Gao Yaodong had. When the soldiers were divided into two routes, Wang Xiaolei and his friends went to Gao Yaodong's youth team, and Zhao Lingyue went directly to Gao Yaodong's home. Juvenile. Don't give up on your dreams. Episode 130. Gao Yaodong looked at his locker cabinet, looked at the surrounding environment, stuffed everything into a handbag, and after a few minutes, a smile of relief suddenly appeared on his face. These years of life have given him a lot of inspiration and made him have a far more mature mentality than ordinary people. It just so happened that the compensation for the father's car accident was also ruined by himself, and the mother did not have a good life, so she honestly went back to be a good student. Fortunately, in recent years, my academic performance has not fallen, and the top 10 grades are stable. The school has also talked to itself a few times, but unfortunately, I can't put down the football before. Now is the time. Take a deep breath, tear off your name on the cabinet, carefully fold it and hide it in your pocket, close the cabinet heavily, get up and look at the bag and go out. Wang Xiaolei is a bold and careful character. He himself is tightly packaged. In order to prevent any accidents, he will explain everything to his friends. He just accompanied him. The advantage of this is to avoid the people of the youth training team from seeing what they come to Gao Yaodong to think of, asking for a price in the future, or setting something trapped in the contract. The two inquired carefully all the way, and finally came to Gao Yaodong's dormitory, and looked at the door open. Just as he was about to reach out and knock on the door, suddenly the door was pulled open from the inside, and a young man with a lost face appeared in front of the two people with a bag. Hello, do you know Gao Dongma? Looking at the appearance of these two people, Gao Yaodong instinctively became vigilant. He thought that some social people came to find him in trouble. There had been no less encounters in the previous years, and there had been no less fighting. What are you looking for him for? It can be seen that he is still not sophisticated enough. If it is an old Jianghu, most of them will say that he is not there. Hearing him say this, Wang Xiaolei immediately determined his identity, directly took off his mask and hat, and revealed his own Buddha figure. Little brother Ray. Gao Yaodong looked at Wang Xiaolei, and he was overjoyed. In the domestic football world, Wang Xiaolei is also a star with many fans, and his personality and goalkeeping skills, as well as a hand of unicorn arms, have attracted the favor of countless fans. You are Yaodong. It's me. I finally found you. I haven't closed my eyes since 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday. Wang Xiaolei let out a long sigh and reached out to pat Gao Yaodong's shoulder. Let's go, don't talk, you boy is so cloudy. Gao Yaodong inexplicably followed Wang Xiaolei and the two of them outside, and his own back words were almost the same, what good luck could he take? On the other side, in Gao Yaodong's home, Lin Xiuyue changed her clothes and looked in the mirror to draw a simple makeup. A loving smile appeared on his face. What can he do for his son's own sake? She can't let her son's life leave such a big legacy. Just be bitten by a dog. The time was already 7 o'clock in the evening. The other party had urged several times, could not drag on, gritted his teeth, carried the bag and got up to get ready to go out. The doorbell rang, beep 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 toot. The son is back? No, my son said before that he and his friends were out for dinner and would come back later. Is it that the man can't wait? I'm coming. Lying on the cat's eye and looking, it was a middle-aged man wearing glasses and looking very elegant, that is, the dark circles were more serious and looked a lot haggard. Cautiously, he immediately ran to the kitchen to get a kitchen knife and hid it behind him, which opened the door. Zhao Lingyue's face was full of smiles, looking at the woman who appeared, and slightly bent down to show politeness. Hello, is it Gao Yaodong's mother, Lin Xiuyue? Are you? Reaching out without hitting the smiley face person, Lin Xiuyue also asked a question. I am the domestic agent of Manchester United head coach, Mr. Liu Yi, and today I am here for our family. Zhao Lingyue said as he took out his identity certificate. Manchester United? Liu Yi? Agent? As a mother with a young player's son, how could she not know these words, just a little confused, why these words are associated with her own family? But since you're not a bad guy, let's go first. As soon as he reached out, the kitchen knife appeared in front of Zhao Lingyue's eyes, and he suddenly felt a little red-faced, and he was embarrassed to release the whole time. Feng just cut a fruit in the kitchen. Zhao Lingyue was also shocked, but immediately replied. It's okay, it's normal to bring a kitchen knife at home, you are busy first, let's talk slowly. Distant Manchester, Carrington training base, Liu Yi has been out of his mind all morning, and from time to time into a state of daze, so that the players are secretly thinking that the boss has a favorite girl from time to time. Until 11 o'clock in the morning, he received a text message from Wang Xiaolei, saying that he had found Gao Yaodong and was chatting with the other party to explain the situation. Ask him about the difficulties he faces, and if I can, I'd like to talk to him on the phone in person. Liu Yi sent a message to Wang Xiaolei, and the whole person instantly relaxed. No matter what, as long as he could find someone, things would be much easier. Old card, let's train with the youth team in the afternoon. No problem. Carrick agreed, and for a team like Manchester United, it is normal for players in the youth team to feel the atmosphere of the first team. The famous video of Lin Huang coaching Luo was left behind when the first team and the youth team were training together. Youth director Jimmy Lane has also been instructed by the head coach to prepare the youth team, and as for the head coach arranging a child to come to the academy, this kind of thing is not unusual. And it is also a good thing, only if the head coach attaches importance to the academy, he can be valued, and the youth training department can increase the funding. Moreover, Liu Yi is really underestimated, his influence and status in Manchester United now. As long as the requirements he puts forward are not too outrageous, the club will meet them. Looking at the club's higher and higher stock prices day by day, everyone knows in their hearts that if they dare to blow up the thorn in front of Liu, then the boss will let themselves get out. The information sent by Liu Yi was transmitted to Wang Xiaolei's mobile phone along the wireless signal. Wang Xiaolei looked at the text message and handed the phone to Gao Yaodong. Your boy is really walking luck, Liu Guidance can see that he cares about you. Gao Yaodong has understood the matter again, looking at the call records on the mobile phone, as well as the text messages between the two sides, and has believed in this matter for a long time. After all, Wang Xiaolei is a star, there is no need to bully himself as a child, he can't see what he has. With a smirk on his face, Shen touched Wang Xiaolei's mobile phone, which seemed to weigh tens of millions of pounds. Manchester United, Liu Yi's guidance, actually personally invited someone to come to me. Gao Yaodong felt that all this was as if he was dreaming, and the football dream he wanted to give up seemed to be bright for himself with a suddenly changed future. In his home, Zhao Lingyue told Lin Xiuyue in detail about the matter. After all, Gao Yaodong was a minor, and his affairs still had to be decided by the guardian. Ms. Lin, if you don't trust me, you can talk to my boss on the phone. Episode 131. The video dialed through, looked at Liu Yi on the other side of the camera, and greeted himself. Gao Yaodong's voice was a little choked. Liu Guidance is good. Then he immediately began to cry, holding his head in pain, crying in front of Wang Xiaolei and his friends, in front of Liu Yi in the video, regardless of his disregard. Tears kept flowing out of the eyes, and I couldn't wipe them off. Wang Xiaolei already knew what was happening, couldn't help but sigh, reached out and rubbed Gao Yaodong's head, but did not stop him. Gao Yadong cried like a person who had been wronged for a long time and finally found a person to talk to, and it seemed that when he couldn't hold on, suddenly someone helped you and pulled you back from your loss. It wasn't until 10 minutes later that he rubbed his red eyes and looked at the camera with some embarrassment. "I'm sorry, Director Liu, I'm just happy." "It's okay, the next thing you have to do is study with peace of mind, and then prepare all the materials with your mother, and leave the rest to my people to do, and I'll wait for you in Manchester." Gao Yadong nodded vigorously and wiped his nose. After the video was hung up, looking at the smiling Wang Xiaolei and the big brother, Gao Yadong's blushing ass was the same. "Come on, future big star, sign me first." The two joked a few words, and Gao Yadong twisted and squeezed on their clothes with a red face, wrote down his name, and deliberately wrote the time and place. At Gao Yadong's home, Lin Xiuyue already believed in Zhao Lingyue's identity, and another difficult thing appeared. The son has also spent a lot of money playing football over the years, and the money for compensation for the husband's car accident has been spent, and what remains is definitely not enough. If you are in China, you can save a little, plus you go out to work by yourself, and you will also pass the law. But now go abroad to Britain. So far, life is not familiar, the money is definitely not enough. Consider the previous news, a certain international footballer who went abroad to stay abroad, his father sold 8 suites in the Magic Capital, fully supported him to play football in European states, and finally came back. The son had such a good chance, and as a result, he dropped the chain here, and Lin Xiuyue almost cried out urgently. "Ms. Lin, you can rest assured that our boss must have arranged it long ago, and after Manchester United passed the trial training, the rest did not cost money, and even subsidies. That also needs to be done up and down. This is the thinking of the country, and then the head coach of Manchester United is Liu Coach. He is optimistic about our Yadong's words. Where do the people below dare to do anything? Let's try it first. The airfare money and travel expenses are all responsible for Manchester United, don't worry at all." It is good to say that after all, she finally dispelled some of Lin Xiuyue's doubts and promised to accompany her son to try. After all, her son was only 15 years old, and if she went out alone, she was not at ease. In the office, Liu Yi watched the characters on the screen disappear, and Gao Yadong's task card became clear again, with a long sigh of relief. Finally, keep this treasure. The next thing is to wait for him to pass the trial training, see what kind of genius, but also a little gongnan for the Dragon Country football. Winning Crystal Palace is the 8th game that Liu Yi led the team to play, and the reward is only 2 personal attributes, which is a very important thing for Liu Yi. Enhancing your physical fitness without exercising, something that countless people around the world dream of. By the way, look at the current Premier League standings, as West Ham United hammered Chelsea, so that Chelsea's 3-point lead over Manchester United disappeared. With the same 32 points, Manchester United relied on 46 goals difference to firmly occupy the second place in the table, with Liverpool with 34 points in the first place. Chelsea finished third with 20 goals on goal difference, and Manchester City ranked fourth with 17 goals difference. The 5th place is West Ham United, which has just turned Chelsea over, and the Hammers have shown good fighting power this season, despite not having Lin Huang. The 6th place is the loss to Manchester United's third brother Arsenal. Behind Arsenal is the Tottenham Hotspur in the first round of the competition, after the change of coach. Conte has put Tottenham on the right track, ready to overtake Arsenal into the top 6. As for the top scorers, C. Luo is definitely leading with 21 goals, and he has 7 assists. Behind Ronaldo is the Egyptian pharaoh, who was almost elected president of Egypt. Liverpool core Salah 13 goals, 9 assists. It is difficult to imagine last season. Liverpool fans, also because of the decline in form, want to sell him. Liu Yi is very satisfied with the current situation. Whether Liverpool will make a mistake or not, just need to beat the opponent head-on in the next face-to-face, then the top of the table will be in hand. It might even be a game that determines where the championship belongs, and that's a good feeling. Manchester United fans have also shouted the slogan of winning the championship, which makes Liverpool fans very unhappy, but it is undeniable that Manchester United's recent state is really good. With Manchester City and Chelsea losing to Manchester United, it is hard for Liverpool fans to believe that Liverpool can beat or draw Manchester United. Unfortunately, with the schedule unchanged, Manchester United will have to respond to Liverpool at least until March next year. The next game was the Champions League, Liu Yi's third Champions League match, against the Swiss Premier League's Bern Young Club, a team that most United fans had never heard of. It was such a team that beat Manchester United 2-1 in the first round of the two sides. At that time, the scene was that Luo broke the door and was difficult to savior, and Lingard finally gave a big gift this time, arranged for the pair of masters and apprentices, and worked together to solve the normal battle, and washed away the shame by the way. After browsing the information about the Premier League, Liu Yi focused on the next game, has locked the top of the table and advanced to qualify. Do you want to give the youngsters a little chance to fight? Episode 132. In the afternoon, the youth team and the first team train together, and in Manchester United's youth team, there are a lot of treasure young people. Liu Yi's eyes continue to sweep over these young people, and when he was a simple Manchester United fan before, he had paid attention to many youth fans. After all, it is Manchester United's tradition to adhere to the academy. From 1932 to the present, more than 4,000 games, Manchester United has academy players on the pitch to fight for the team. These children on the field now are the future of Manchester United, and when Ronaldo are completely old, the future is their world. Hannibal Mejbri is one of them, playing in multiple positions in midfield, is only 19 years old, has had several appearances at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's hands, and has performed well. Anthony Elanga United Academy is another gem, fast, good footwork, a striker with a keen sense of smell, also at the age of 19, who has a good performance in the youth team. There is also Manchester United's U18 best player, Jimmy Murphy Award winner, winger, known as the third prince of Shola Shah Shotel, also translated as Shore Attire, known as Manchester United's Youth Academy, since Class 92, the most talented player. It is worth mentioning that Anthony Elanga was the U18 best player of the previous year. The remaining two princes, the eldest prince is Rashford and the second prince is Greenwood, who can already play in the first team and have a stable chance to play. There is also the future main centre guard captain candidate, Wilfesh. The 18-year-old will be the main centre back of the U23, and has served as the captain of all ages for a long time. Even in the overage U23, he often serves as the captain on the field. Needless to say, Amad Diallo, who also appeared in Liu Yi's hands, is a genius prodigy. Of course, a good performance in the youth team does not mean that the adult team also performs well, but only represents their talent, surpassing other young people. If there is not enough hard work, it is difficult to stand in the first team. After all, in a big club like Manchester United, there is never a shortage of talent, but what can be achieved is that 3 or 2. The reason why the 92 class is widely spread is because there are too few players like this to play steadily in the first team. Maybe you can also build a group similar to the 92nd class. But not now. Wait for Gao Yaodong to stabilize and then make plans. There is not a single Dragon Country fan in such a group. It is really a great feeling. The players ran the pitch, the first team and the youth team mixed together to break up, randomly split into 2 teams for a 4-minute training match. The players in the youth team have worked extra hard, and everyone knows that the next game against the young burn, because the Champions League has already qualified early, there will definitely be a wide rotation to give some young people a chance. If you can get the favor of the coach, then it is very good. After all, the new coach now, leading Manchester United to consecutive big wins, has won 8 consecutive games and does not seem to be forewarning of losing. Who wouldn't want to play under a coach like that? The players of the first team did not steal the limelight, deliberately gave the little brothers a chance, and the game was very good looking, but this was not what Liu Yi wanted. Increase physical confrontation, speed up the pace of the game. Do you expect your opponents to let you play so fast? Liu Yi's dissatisfied voice sounded in everyone's ears, making everyone's hearts tighten and look up to see the serious face of the boss. If this is the quality of training, you can only play wild ball, the real court, who will let you let go of the passing people and shoot. None of them are 13 or 14-year-olds, there are only a few years left in the growth period. If you can't take football seriously, then you don't deserve to be at Old Trafford. If you don't have the determination to suffer, be tackled, foul or even hurt, I suggest you change your career as soon as possible. In this way, you can also eat in other industries, so as not to delay the youth. Criticizing the young players, Liu Yi set his sights on the first team, many of whom were already his friends, but there were no friends here, only coaches and players. Are you helping them by your actions? You're hurting them. If I were to pick them up in the first team because of your water games and then suffer a defeat against the young burn players, would I trust them again? Maybe there is still a chance, but the absolute rate is much smaller. The players of the first team, one by one, bowed their heads, showing some shame. This is not to mention, Liu Yi set his eyes on Si Luo again, making Si Luo feel a little unnatural. The calf is finished, and he will be criticized. Cristiano, when you get to Manchester United, keen how they treat you. Liu Yi did not call Luo's nickname Lao Luo, but called him by his first name, so that the players could feel his anger. Luo stood up with some shame. He could think of what had happened. Without those steel quenching, the current tough man Luo would not exist. When I was afraid of confrontation with the ball, Sir Alex Ferguson arranged for his teammates to increase their fouls against me, and there were a lot of tackles, and whenever I fell down and didn't want to get up, Keane and Ferdinand would scold me for being soft, hoping that I would be tough and become a real man. You've done it, right, and it's far exceeded what they expected from you. Yes, thanks to their help, I am now. Si Luo nodded and agreed with Liu Yi's statement. At this point, the teammates still thought that this was to let them learn Luo and become more powerful in the difficult tempering, but they did not expect Liu Yi's words to turn sharply. So, Cristiano, how did you fulfill your responsibilities to your brothers and sisters, to you as a big brother and an example? Si Luo looked at Liu Yi, opened his mouth, and finally Yi came out with a word. Hug, boss, I should be a little tougher. Other players see Si Luo have been trained like this. It is even more lowbrow and pleasing to the eye, especially for Liu Yi's high loyalty, such as Fred, the more ashamed they are in their hearts. But there is one player who is an exception, and that is Anthony Martial, who does not want to listen to Liu Yi's training and is disgusted by this behavior, and his loyalty has dropped a little again. Well, now continue training and give them a real knife and real gun education. Liu Yi clapped his hands and signaled to restart the game. The players were all serious, they could not be as relaxed as before. Carrick, who was the temporary referee, blew the whistle of the start of the game, and Elena, who had the ball, was directly thrown to the ground by Fred with a shovel. Well done, Fred. Liu Yi applauded on the sidelines and applauded loudly. Episode 133. For the first time, United's youth team talents felt the pressure of the boss and also boosted their motivation. Only a coach with high requirements can bring more growth to the players, and there is no way out for everyone to mix together. When Liu Yi left, he took away several players from the youth team, from Alenga in the front court to Fisher in the backfield. These 2 days will train with the first team. Whether he can enter the big list to play, he will see when the time comes. Anyway, almost all of them are young players. According to UEFA's requirements, the big list of adult teams is limited by the number of people, and there is a B list for young players. There is no limit to the number of people. It's also a home game, and it's not a big deal to bring it along. However, to enter the final roster, Liu Yi needs to think about it carefully, and he cannot lose the game because of carelessness. Daily specific training. Liu Yi does not need to be responsible, since it is decided to leave Carrick behind, then let him lead the team. On the domestic side, Gao Yaodong's affairs have been completely completed, and Zhao Lingyue will come with the mother and son when the time comes. Liu Yi called to thank Wang Xiaolei and Lu Han, and it was inevitable to invite them to dinner when they returned to China. Since they were all cheerful men, it was understandable to make a friend together. Liu Yi also knew Wang Xiaolei from Zhao Lingyue's side, and his performance that day was even more touching. The other party gives himself face, then he also has to give the other side. When he was a fan before, he had a good feeling for Wang Xiaolei. Brother Lei, thanks to you this time. If our Dragon Kingdom is a genius, then you are indispensable. Lu Guide, don't be so polite. I will help you do some work that is willing, and when you return to China, we will have a meal together, and let my brother and I go out and brag. No problem, I'll treat you when I get back. This is how the relationship comes, and in the case of everyone interacting with each other, Liu Yi's contacts in the country can also be slowly established. At the same time, Zhao Lingyue also registered a company in China. Liu Yi held 100% of the shares, and Yuan Ding was now the only one. The registered capital has arrived, and this time Zhao Lingyue accompanied Gao Yaodong's mother and son, and the money that went to Manchester together was taken to the company's account. Unfortunately, it will take about 10 days for the passport to be processed, and it will take a while for Liu Yi to see the genius of his heart. Not knowing where to get the news, Sandesi personally called Liu Yi, the CEO who is almost 60 years old, and is very happy to have a good relationship with Liu Yi. Oh, dear Liu, I am so sad. What a look, Ed. Liu Yichang endured an old man and called himself Dear Discomfort. You want to invite a small player to come on a trial and not talk to me about such a thing. Upon hearing this, Liu Yi giggled in his heart. There would be no accidents. What's wrong with Ed? Is it against the rules? Of course not. I mean, you didn't treat me as a friend. This kind of thing you naturally said to me. I personally handled it for you. You concentrate on leading our team to win. How can you spend energy for such a small thing? Liu Yi rolled his eyes, and you guys were gasping for breath as you spoke, startling me. However, he did not reject the olive branch and kindness of the other party, and after so many years at Manchester United, Santa Cuco's network of relations in football and business is unfathomable. Hold Ed, I didn't want to bother you with this little thing. How about having a meal together? I heard that you often eat takeout at home, or eat some fast food. This is not okay. You are the most important member of our club. You must pay attention to your body. Just I know a delicious French restaurant. After defeating young people, I will do the East to invite you to dinner. It's really not okay. You can hire a nanny and a cook. The salary is borne by our club. I have that kind of young and beautiful personal life assistant. Do you want to come to one? By the way, I'll leave it to me about your little cute trial, and I won't let you down. Before hanging up the phone, Sandesi also gave Liu Yi a special explanation, which made Liu Yi feel a little too careless not to go. Before, when he was in China, he did not scold Sandesi less. That's going to bother you, Ed. Hanging up the phone, Liu Yi looked at the phone and was stunned, and once again had a clear feeling about his position in the club. It seems that as long as he can bring benefits, he is the father of the Glazer family. There was no return to this side. There was a knock at the door. Liu Yi shook his head, allowing himself to return to normal. "Please come in." Coming in was Jimmy Lane, the head of the academy, who walked in with a smile on his face. "Dear Liu, for the upcoming trial talent, I have prepared the accommodation and training plan. Do you want to take a look?" "Jimmy, you are our old man of Manchester United. I believe in your ability and sense of responsibility. Will not let any genius slip away from us. Just follow your plan. If you need my help, speak directly." Liu Yi also gave the youth training director enough respect. "Rest assured, I will let this Dragon Country genius feel the enthusiasm and professionalism of our Manchester United, and of course will not create a gap between other young people in his mouth. These are all in my consideration." Jimmy Ryan while taking out a plan of dozens of pages, from sleep to diet, and even language training, psychological counseling, etc. In such a short period of time, it is really difficult for him to come up with such a plan. Of course, it also proves his professionalism. "Liu, when you need me in the future, I will arrive at a phone call right away. Don't be polite." As he left, Jimmy shook hands with Liu Yi while repeatedly emphasizing his loyalty. First Santa Cuco, then Jimmy Lane, who is a person of some status in the club, is now so enthusiastic about himself that Liu feels very comfortable. He felt that he had received enough attention and respect, and when the shares of Manchester United slowly fell into his hands, he was still the available person. Sending Jimmy away, seeing that the clock was about to leave work, there was a knock at the door again. Strange, usually take the initiative to find their own people. That is not today how this is one after another. "Please come in." Pushing the door in was a player. Manchester United's smile proved that there was good news to tell Liu Yi, but also let the above lose some expectations of his coming. Episode 134. Hey, is there anything Jesse is happy about? Here comes Jesse Lingard, a man of United's youth academy, not a genius, but definitely a diligent man. "Boss, my new contract negotiations are over, and tomorrow I can hold a press conference to announce that I am staying." Lingard looked happy and sent this good news to Liu Yi. This is really a good thing. The specific content Liu Yi did not ask. It must be a contract that can satisfy Lingard and the club can also accept. "Very good, you can stay in the team and do a big game. You have to be a role model for young players and perform well." Liu Yi smiled and patted Lingard's shoulder and said a long and serious word. Although he said that he was not much older than Lingard, it was taken for granted that Lingard did not feel offended at all. "Rest assured, boss, I will do whatever you ask me to do. Even if you let me play defender, I will go up." "What nonsense, I can let you play the defender, and you can't be kicked by anyone." Liu Yi pretended to be angry, and then the two looked at each other and smiled, and everything came back. Then Liu Yi accompanied Lingard to the locker room and announced the news to everyone, and everyone naturally applauded and congratulated Linda. "Jesse, I knew you were going to stay." Rashford jumped up from the stool and put his hands on Lingard's neck, and the relationship between the two was really good. After all, they had walked all the way from the academy to the first team. "Jesse, are you going to have a meal tonight?" Ronaldo also stood up and reached out to rub Lingard's hair. "No problem, I'll do the East at night. Everyone will go and ask to bring the family." Lingard stood at the middle table, announcing loudly to everyone, and then the eyes of the crowd looked in unison in one direction. Our big coach Liu looked at Lingard with a look of resentment. "Are you guys not opening which pot to mention which pot?" Looking at Liu Yi's expression, everyone laughed out loud, and the atmosphere in the dressing room exploded. As we all know, boss is also a young man. As long as you delay serious things, then there is nothing to joke with him usually. Luo directly dragged Liu Yi over, and then put his other hand around Emperor Lin and beckoned everyone to come up together, holding each other's shoulders in a circle. As they walked in circles, they shouted, and even the injured Faye and Pogba stood on the sidelines, raising their hands and cheering. Carrick quickly recorded it with his mobile phone. "What is called unity, good locker room atmosphere, maybe this is it." In the evening, everyone ate together, took a family portrait and posted it on social media. Liu Yi was naturally no exception, sending a family portrait, and by the way, he sent a photo with Lingard. Your Lin Emperor continue to be rampant. Other players also sent photos, along with what they wanted to say. Jesse Lingard himself sent a group photo, then a handsome photo of himself wearing a Manchester United shirt, and a photo of him standing behind Liu Yi, ready to play. "We are a family." Judging from this kind of performance, fans and the media have basically guessed the truth, and Jesse Lingard has renewed his contract with Manchester United. West Ham United manager Moyes, who was also the manager of Manchester United, saw this news and couldn't help but sigh. It seems that his chance to get Jesse Lingard is gone. He really likes this player, and Jesse Lingard's performance at West Ham United, that is the best performance in the Premier League, but unfortunately, his heart will always be Manchester United's and a more frustrated team, that is, the billionaire Newcastle. Jesse Lingard is on their signing, but also prepared a very high salary price. But from now on, in the world of football, you can't do whatever you want with money. The next day, United's official website released the news that Jesse Lingard and the team have a 5-year contract extension, and there is an option to extend it for 1 year, and the two sides will continue to work together. Jesse Lingard is an excellent producer of Manchester United's academy. We will not give up our children. We hope he can have a happy life at Old Trafford and wish him all the best for the future. Jesse Lingard himself sent a photo of signing the contract, and then accompanied it with his own copywriting: "Forever Red Devils, forever Manchester United, the blood of my door is always red." As a manager, Liu Yi naturally also expressed his welcome to Lingard's renewal. Immediately after the media also announced some details, Jesse Lingard's weekly salary for renewal reached £20,000, basically at the same level as Rashford. It is almost a tens of millions of annual salary level, which is also a very good salary in the Premier League. After all, Manchester United's sworn enemy Liverpool, Egypt's King Salah is only £200,000 of weekly salary. On the one hand, Manchester United's salary control is not in place. On the other hand, it also proves that in the case of no blood transfusion, Manchester United's profitability is indeed the top of the squatter. It is said that Salah and Liverpool dragged on not to renew their contracts, but also because of this reason, the psychological gap between Bizhang is too big. Even if it is not as good as Luo, where is the status and strength of the Jianghu, but now at the same level as Lingard, Salah's mentality is about to explode. After all, his career has also reached its peak, and his age has entered the peak period, basically the last big contract of his career. On the day of Jesse Lingard's renewal, a reporter interviewed Salah on this issue. After Manchester United's Jesse Lingard renewed his contract, his salary was the same as yours. What do you think about this matter? First of all, congratulations to Jesse Lingard. He is a good player. It is not easy to come out of the difficulties, and Manchester United has given him the benefits and rewards he deserves. Salah was stunned, but replied decently. So where are you going to negotiate a contract extension with Liverpool? Can you talk about it? I'm still a Liverpool player and will be working hard for the club on the pitch, and as for what's to come, who knows? After Salah finished speaking, he directly ended the press conference. Everyone can see that Salah's mood is not very good. As Manchester United's head coach, Liu Yi naturally wanted to be interviewed, and Manchester Evening News reporter Tyrone got the opportunity to be interviewed. Jesse Lingard has renewed, and it's a high thing for you to do for the state? Of course, Jesse Lingard is Manchester United's youth academy, and for many years at Manchester United, he is a good player and will be a role model for young players. So do you think he can be worthy of a weekly salary of £20,000, and does he have that level? Reporter Tyrone's question was very sharp, and he directly asked Lingard if he could be worthy of salary. Liu Yi thought about it: empty words, or on the pitch to rely on performance to speak. Next up is the Champions League performance with the youngsters. I will arrange for Jesse Lingard to start and let everyone see why he is worth a weekly salary of £200,000. Episode 135. Young Bern is a member of the Swiss Premier League, especially since the new coach American, Geraldo Wagner, has won the Swiss Premier League for 4 consecutive years. In the first round of the Champions League group stage, they beat Manchester United, which was their surprise to the world. But it is precisely because of this, so now Wagner, feel a very headache. Look at the current state of Manchester United. Before Villarreal was done 10 o'clock, now he wants to lead young people to challenge Manchester United in Manchester, which is really a shit shell laying to visit the toilet, go to the door to find death. I hope that Manchester United, the manager, can see that young people are small clubs, leave some affection for themselves, and get along well in the future. Relatively speaking, young players, there is not so much psychological pressure after all. For them, the defeat of Manchester United is purely an accident, belongs to the charm of football. Really, from the strength point of view, no one feels that young people are Manchester United's opponents for many of them. To be able to go to Old Trafford and Manchester United, such an opponent coach, is a rare memory in life. As for the results, leave it to God. However, in these years, even God can't stop it, the Demon King of Manchester. With this mentality, the whole team of young people came to Manchester a day in advance, and took a familiar understanding of the venue and rest, and the car and boat race was also easy or bad. The day before the match, the final tactical arrangements were made, the players in the first team were relaxed, the top place had been locked in advance, and the boss would definitely make a big rotation. Look at the teammates of the youth team and know that this game is definitely a chance for them. In the 18-man roster released in advance, Van der Beek, Maguire, and Nemanja Matic did not go in, but were replaced by a pair of young people. Fans who don't often pay attention to Manchester United, or who don't pay attention to Manchester United's youth team, will most likely look at the list with a blank face. In the evening, the young man in Bern, as the last victim of Super Manchester United, once again gave Liu a headache for the strength gap between the two sides. Coupled with the super mode, the various attributes of the Manchester United team exploded, easily scoring more than 24 goals. After changing the players into members of the youth team, it was finally better, but it must also be a staggering number. Lingard's data, Liu Yi had decided before, and after the renewal of the contract, he would give him a little reward. Pass 13, dribble 12, talent 13, vision 9. All 4 of these items were raised to 15, so that Lingard's ability directly rose to a higher level. As for the rest, it is natural to send him a secret book to prove his own merits. But now such data, for the young people of Bern, is already a crushing level of existence. There will be absolutely no problem. After all, in the entire Bern youth team, Liu Yi did not even have a player to look up to. When I went to bed at night, I received a good night from Yang Tianbao and Dababi, both of whom were in the Dragon Kingdom, probably around 8 o'clock in the morning. Didn't they sleep negatively? With some beautiful fantasies, Liu Yi entered a beautiful dream that made people drool. At 6 o'clock British time on Wednesday, Manchester United's bus arrived at Old Trafford, full of Manchester United fans along the way, and after seeing the bus, they frantically waved their hands and sang Manchester United's team song. In the locker room, Liu Yi made the final arrangements and selected the starters. Everyone knows it, but there are no surprises, and the substitutes are very comfortable. After all, a season is so long, some games are played. The Beefy returned from injury and reappeared in the big list, but did not qualify for the start. The whole Old Terra is crowded, leaving no empty seats, and even many fans are waiting outside the stadium, hoping to get tickets. Since Liu Yi began to give back to the fans with one victory after another, Manchester United fans have also returned with crazy support. The attendance rate was simply amazing, the Glazer family up and down, the smiling mouth, crooked eyes. Every time they see Liu Yi, it's like seeing a gold mine, and where can they know that Liu Yi unconsciously already has a 6% stake in Manchester United? So recently, Manchester United's top management has often come to Old Trafford to watch the game and close the distance with the fans. An hour in advance, Liu Yi directly announced the starting list at the pre-match press conference. According to the custom, he accepted the reporter's interview and made some responses, accompanied by Lingard, who had just renewed his contract. Liu, the last time Manchester United faced young people, they suffered a defeat. Will you have any pressure? Of course, this is the charm of football. The advantage in statistics is never absolute. Only the one who performs better on the field deserves to win. I will respect the young people of Bern enough and salute them. We saw you bring Jesse Lingard to the press conference. Do you expect anything from him in this game? You can see our starting list. There are a lot of young people. I hope he can set an example for young people, so that everyone can be proud of him. Jesse, congratulations on getting a big contract. Thank you. This is the trust that the club has placed in me. Thank you all for your support. There are a lot of people who say you don't deserve such a big contract. Do you have anything to say? Lingard frowned. In the past 2 days he has really seen a lot of such news, various media reporters and commentators, taking turns to hype this matter. Let him feel a little uncomfortable. There's nothing to say, I'll prove it with my performance on the field. As long as the boss lets me play, I'm willing to give everything I have. The smile on the face has been restored, and for an athlete, only by speaking with strength and performance can he truly convince the public. After the interview, Liu Yi shook hands with Wagner, the head coach of the young people in Bern, and left the scene without paying attention to what the opponent said. In the dressing room, the players are ready, and some of the youngsters who are appearing in the Champions League for the first time look a little excited, and Ronaldo is reassuring them. This is our home stadium, the fans will cheer you up. What is there to be nervous about? According to the usual training content, try your best to play football. Outside, there was a sudden cry of tens of thousands of people shouting and tsunami, which frightened everyone. However, after hearing the shouting name, I immediately felt taken for granted. The Old Trafford court changed. Liu Yi came out of the players' tunnel, his figure also appeared on the big screen, and the Manchester United fans saluted the manager with shouts and applause. Episode 136. A few minutes before the start of the game, all the commentators in the live broadcast room were introducing the starting rosters of both sides. The Longwell live broadcast room is no exception. The old partners of Kim Sang-kai and Liu Yu, plus temporary guests Dongfang Xue, form a lineup of explanations. Even though it is already 4 a.m., the most unfriendly time for Dragon Nation fans, there are still millions of Manchester United fans who have risen from their sleep and watched the game. You have to say what a big match, or a life or death match, but the current opponent is the young Bern, and Manchester United, who has appeared in advance, is just a game. It can be seen that the loyalty of Manchester United fans. Of course, there are also reasons for Liu Yi. It is hard to have a person of his own, mixed up in the international football world. Everyone is willing to support him. Kim Sang-kai, the starting start of the young people in Bern is the same as the last time, it looks like a 433, in fact, the game should be a 541 formation, if you play against Manchester United, tonight is probably a big tragedy. Dong Fengshua is a Manchester United fan, laughing and puffing. Teacher Jean said this, which team is playing with Manchester United now? There is not a tragedy. Kim Sang-kai also thinks that since Manchester United took office, the minimum consumption has been 5 balls. Liu Yi introduced Manchester United's starting lineup, and Manchester United fans were much more lively. The starting line is Luo, presumably to break his own record of 10 times in the half. To his left is Junior Anthony Elena and on the right is Sancho. Kim Sang-kai then said, look at these young players of Manchester United, Rashford and Greenwood are still looking for a position in the first team, and the teachers and disciples behind them have grown up again, and the competitive pressure is really big. Elena has won Manchester United's U18 Best Player, the aura is naturally needless to say, the only thing missing is the first team game experience, now let him learn from Luo on the field, it is also a good thing. Dong Fengshua is not here to earn money for free, he has also done some homework and knows some about the members of Manchester United's youth team. The midfielders are Jesse Lingard, Fred, McTominay swinging away. Jean Sang-kai continued to answer, Lingard, who has just got a big contract, should be eager to perform, and Liu also gave him a chance. Dong Fengshua added again, yesterday Liu Yi said that Lingard will prove that he deserves a big contract. Liu Yi finally introduced the Manchester United defensive line, Luke Shaw, who returned from a concussion, returned to the starting lineup, the centre-back partner is Varane, and the 18-year-old Fish, who can play the role of captain of the youth team. Manchester United youth training has a jewel, the right side is injured because of Wan-Bissaka. And it is Dalit who plays. The goalkeeper rotates De Gea as usual, with Dean Henderson playing. After the introduction, everyone talked about the gossip outside the stadium to refresh the fans. Some media have said before that Henderson wants to leave Manchester United because he has not had enough opportunities, and recently this kind of news has been much less. A look can produce results, and it is a team with big results who will leave at this time. Before Bailey submitted a transfer application, it is estimated that now he regrets it to death. At Old Trafford, the whole stadium cheered, players from both sides entered, and the game was about to begin. Louis and Wagner shook hands casually and wished their opponents good luck. Maguire did not play. Louis gave the captain's armband to Ronaldo, which he deserved, at least in this Manchester United, except for De Gea, no one is more qualified than him. Guessing the coin end, see Ronaldo chose to kick first, the other side chose the venue. The referee blew the whistle and the 6th and final round of Group F of the Champions League group stage officially began at Old Trafford. In the Longwell live broadcast room, Kim Sang-kai said the opening words, good evening to all fans and friends, welcome to the 2021-2022 Champions League group stage, the final round of Group F, Manchester United home to meet the young people of Bern, Switzerland, this game by Kim Sang-kai. Liu Yi and Dong Fengshua to send commentary for everyone. At the scene of the game, Luo kicked the ball to Lingard and then rushed to the front. Jesse Lingard passed the ball back to Fred, controlled the rhythm, and when his teammates were in place to attack, Fred simply passed the ball back to Fish, so that the young master could familiarize himself with the ball in the Champions League. 20 seconds later, Fish felt a little nervous and hurried to kick the ball to Varane. The time was almost up, and Varane passed the ball directly to Lingard, who took the ball forward and Rowe, who was the center, had come to pick it up. Jesse Lingard, who had been promoted, felt that his vision was much broader, passed the ball directly to Cristiano Ronaldo, and then bypassed the defenders. Sure enough, the master and the disciple joined hands and shared the same mind. The football at Ronaldo's feet was accurately knocked back to Jesse Lingard, who waved his hand and signaled Alandra in front of him to run, not to wait like a pillar for the ball to be defended by Manchester United, and even Ronaldo had to run all over the field, no one had the privilege. Erlanga quickly ran to the middle and made a change of position with Luo, which shows that the training with the first team in the past 2 days has still played a certain effect. Jesse Lingard took advantage of Ronaldo to pull away the defenders and did not hesitate to pass the ball to Fred, who passed the ball directly to Sancho, and the 2-foot pass was transferred widely. Dangerous, the young defenders of Bern instantly felt a sense of murder. Sang-young on the right has gotten room for a kick-off cross after a simple pull to get rid of it. Luo outside the penalty area is rushing into the penalty area at a rapid pace, perhaps a suitable opportunity. In the Super Manchester United mode, everyone's cooperation familiarity is full. There's nothing to hesitate about. Sancho picked up a cross that looked like he was looking for Elena inside the box. But the ball flew over Alanga's head, and Luo, who came in from outside the box, jumped up high, and a lion shook his head and smashed the ball downwards. Ferf, the goalkeeper of the young Bern team, pounced on the football in panic. However, it was useless. See Ronaldo's header, the top is very comfortable, Not only the position is just right, the strength is also very sufficient, like a smashed stone, directly bounced on the goal line, into the net. The on-site narrator, whose mouth was like a machine gun, popped out a series of words. Sancho crossed, but unfortunately Elena did not grab it. He did not jump as high as Cristiano. Cristiano came in from outside the penalty area. He jumped high and grabbed the first point. Goal. The ball went in, the goal was. The audience cheered and shouted out the name of the hot man, Cristiano Ronaldo. In the Dragon Country live broadcast room, watching Luo and his teammates celebrate on the sidelines, the commentator trio was full of feelings. Kim Sang-kai, Manchester United's playing style is like a martial art, virtual and real, true and false dummy cannot be defensive. Liu Yi then added, Teacher Jean said well, just started to pass back fish, everyone thought they would be stable, who could think that in just a few seconds, the football hit the front, this is really too fast. Dong Fengshua was once a player, and he could be favored by Manchester United and paid the transfer fee, which shows that the level is good, but unfortunately, due to some unspeakable reasons, it led to an early withdrawal from mainstream football. He naturally has a unique view, shared with the fans. I don't know if you have noticed, just when Sancho passed the ball, he did not go to Elena, because everyone knows that Elena can't jump so high, he is sending the ball to the back position, that is, from the beginning of Jesse Lingard's pass. The other players of Manchester United know how to play next. Luo began to sprint from this time, the ball to the person, all in one go. The replay on the screen proves Dong Fengshua's statement, and it is true. The game was just 30 seconds after Manchester United smashed a header like Ronaldo. See, Luo is worthy of the king of the Champions League, and in this way is the god of the Champions League. Episode 137. Schürr's earth-shattering header reminds people of when Luo was young, also in the Champions League. In the 2007-2008 Champions League knockout rounds, Manchester United scored a similar goal against Roma. Scholes, the gingerhead who passed the ball at the time, was already a football commentator and had nothing to make inexplicable remarks, while Ronaldo was still working the field and scoring the same shocking goal. Scholes, who did not know that he was watching the game, did not think of this goal. As soon as the game began, the young Bern had to kick off in midfield, and it sounded like they had control of the ball, but only if they could control it. As soon as the ball was driven out, the whole Manchester United team quickly pressed up and entered a state of space pressing. Target the ball holder, block your passing route and make yourself panic. Even if Elenga's cooperation is a bit rusty, but it is enough, the young man has physical strength, a wide range of running can make up for the mistake helpless, cannot find the point of the Bern young defender Garcia, can only have a big foot to drive the ball towards the front, as to whether their own striker can grab, it depends on luck. Old Trafford didn't believe in luck, just in the devil. Liu Yi resolutely commanded Fish to push forward and compete for the first nod of the ball, without fear of losing position. Trust your teammates and play according to your habits. Listening to the voice of the head coach, Fish rushed up quickly, but it was because of this hesitation, so this time the top of the competition, he did not have an unexpected failure. Bern youngster striker, Sabata grabbed the first point and then prepared to bypass Fish, keeping the ball at his feet. Unfortunately, Varane, who then came up to the post, kicked the ball out directly, and this time it was the turn of the Manchester United strikers to grab the first point. C. Luo is not a player who is good at hand-to-hand combat with defenders, so the first point is that he throws a shot and makes a jump action. Lapa, who defended him, was directly shaken and jumped up, the ball flew over his head, and C. Ronaldo had turned and rushed towards the football. In the Dragon Country live broadcast room, all three are Manchester United fans, and the excitement and pleasure of watching it. Beautiful. The three of them shouted in unison, then laughed. C. Ronaldo's experience and prejudgment has been fighting with the defender's wits and courage, at this moment to the extreme, now he can even run out of a single knife ball. Elena on the left, Sancho on the right, and Lingard behind him, see how to choose fat. Old Trafford, the fans in the stands, sang Viva, Long Live, Ronaldo in unison, watching Cristiano Ronaldo charging with the ball. It shouldn't have appeared, but the speed and explosive power that appeared, combined with the veteran's technology and experience, were fully displayed at this moment. Involved by his teammates, Bern's defensive line has become completely out of shape, Luo directly into the box with the ball, another centre-back defender is still half a meter behind him, has stretched out his legs to tackle. The goalkeeper in front has already pounced, and Sang-Yang on the right is already in an empty position, as long as Luo can pass the ball out, it is a 100% goal. But at this moment, Luo's eyes only have the goal, in an extremely narrow range, make a heel bump over the ball, after passing the goalkeeper, a light kick to push. The great performance, the omnipotent Cristiano, once again sent us a wonderful goal and made us cheer his name on the floor. In the crazy shouts of the on-site commentators, the enthusiasm of the fans in the stadium was like an erupting volcano, shouting the name of Ronaldo. In the Dragon Country live room, perhaps the reason for the late-night scene, so the three commentators also showed a lot of enthusiasm, and Chi shouted with his arms. Nice goal. This is the 3rd minute of the game. I just checked, the fastest hat-trick in the Champions League is 7 minutes. If the next game goes well, Ronaldo may break this record. It's hard, the Burn youngsters should be very careful next, and Rowe won't hit every ball in it, but hat-trick is for sure. At Old Trafford, the game went on and it was just over 3 minutes, and the young Burn had already kicked off for the 2nd time, which was really torturous. Wagner on the sidelines can only try to remind players to pay attention to defense, especially players like Ronaldo, try not to give him a chance. The possession was a little longer, but in the 5th minute, Luke Shaw suddenly cut in front of him, sending control of the ball to Jesse Lingard's feet. Jesse Lingard burst straight with the ball, consecutive, and Fred Erlanga did 2-over-1, came to the front of the big penalty area. Looking at the defenders waiting in the lineup, the direct cross found Sancho on the other side, and he rushed into the box, and Luo at the top of the arc just ran back. Sancho routinely found a precise passing route, swept the ball low in front of the goal, the ball fell at Jesse Lingard's feet, and if he shot, there was a high probability of scoring a goal. Jesse Lingard made a gesture to shoot at the goal, but in fact he flicked his heel to send the football to the feet of Ronaldo, who flashed out of the gap and was unguarded. If you don't defend Ronaldo in the penalty area, Ronaldo will give you a deep memory. In the face of Master's kindness, Luo naturally did not miss it, and did not hesitate to get up and hit the goal, and the football entered the goal after refraction, but it was still Luo's ball. The fans stood up and applauded in a trance, saluting Luo. Luo went straight to the sidelines to celebrate, this time with a kneeling slip. Perhaps the continuous sprint was too difficult, so that it was a little tired, and it needed to be slowed down. Behind him, Lingard and the others caught up with each other, and everyone knelt down and slid to the corner flag area. The bench players on the sidelines also rushed up, everyone hugged and celebrated, and a great record was born. In the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room, Jin Songkai's voice was a little excited. After all, witnessing the birth of such a great record, there will always be people moved. Congratulations to Manchester United, congratulations to Luo, congratulations to our Liu Yi. In his Ronaldo broke out of unprecedented strength. Please allow me to pay the highest respect to him. 6 minutes, the fastest hat-trick in the Champions League, was promoted by this man for 2 minutes, which is an incredible achievement, but as the king of the Champions League, he has always been a natural thing. From now on, 2 of the top 5 of the fastest hat play in the Champions League are the names that belong to Cristiano Ronaldo. When the on-site commentators made the news public, it triggered a new round of jubilation. On social media, the official news of the UEFA Champions League was the first to congratulate Luo on these 10 great achievements. Congratulations to Luo for breaking the record of the fastest hat-trick in the Champions League, the king of the Champions League. Pictured below is that Ronaldo holds aloft the Champions League trophy, and behind him are countless of his fans, from Portugal, from Manchester United, from Real Madrid and Juventus. Episode 138. Ronaldo scored a hat-trick in 6 minutes, breaking an astonishing record and making people realize that tonight was another big win. Memes for Manchester United fans have been used again. Manchester United games are still to be watched, and when you wake up, it's a big win. JPG. Watching the apprentice shine on the court, as the master Lin Huangade, just Gongnan gave an assist, naturally cannot be satisfied. Unfortunately, maybe it was the performance at the beginning, so that everyone released a little too fast, and then it was a little bit unsmooth. Lin Huang showed his ability in all aspects, all kinds of direct plugs and cross-pass assists, and a wide range of car transfers. The pie that was brought to the mouth was spit out by his teammates. Elena was offside once, and all 3 shots on goal were outrageously incorrect. Ronaldo's kick of the goal, the quality is very high, directly hit the upright, was confiscated by the opposing goalkeeper Farf, helplessly gave a thumbs up to Lingard. In the 15th minute of the game, Jesse Lingard broke through inside the penalty area and passed the ball to the unguarded Sancho. Sancho's kick hit the 25-man goalkeeper directly and was ejected from the bottom line. Lingard and Sancho both looked at each other and held their heads in disbelief. So the gap, you said Sancho footwork is good, the football did not kick in. You said that his footwork was not good, but he shot the goalkeeper, which is also Sancho. Most outrageously, in the 18th minute, Lingard was a little outside the penalty area, received a header from Rowe to make it back, and then went straight to the corner flag area with 1 kick. It seems that this thing is contagious. This kick shot, Luo crossed his waist and stood in place, shaking his head in disbelief. Lingard himself laughed out, really special and far from poo. United have controlled the ball and the situation on the pitch. The Bern youngsters have no chance, not even to go to the front, have given up the attack, and the whole team is trying to defend. Of course, you can also say that their efforts have worked wonders. In the 20th minute, Jesse Lingard knocked back into the middle of the field, and Fred, who was unguarded, followed by a powerful shot that hit the crossbar directly. Somewhat helplessly shrugged his shoulders, Fred also made a gesture to Lingard. "This thing is not to blame me, you forwards infected us." The young players in Bern are confused, whether you can score or not. Is it interesting to scare people again and again? If you can't attack for a long time under normal circumstances, you will definitely be punished. With the gap between the two sides too large, the young Bern really did not have the opportunity to threaten the Manchester United goal. They chose to threaten their own goal. In the 27th minute of the game, it was Jesse Lingard's breakthrough on the left that caused the opponent's defensive foul and won a free kick. Ronaldo's free kick was directly on the crossbar by Elanga and then bounced back. In the chaos, somehow, the football rolled to the goal. The replay on the big screen gave the final answer. The goalkeeper of the young Bern boys, when holding the ball with both hands, was squeezed by his own defender, and then the ball fell off the ball and fell into the goal. A magical oolong ball that rewrites the score to 4 o'clock. The fans burst into tears, and when the game is over, they must call the management and replace the goal that should be it. Is this still their own goal? With this goal, luck finally came back. In the 35th minute, Ronaldo crossed from the left side of the inverted triangle to the middle of the road. Lingard followed up with a provocative shot. The ball crossed the heads of the 3 defenders and fell into the net from between the hands of the goalkeeper. The score was 5 o'clock. In the 42nd minute, it was Jesse Lingard who broke into the box again and slammed the ball into Elanga behind him with his heel. Elanga would not miss this opportunity, but considering the bad luck before, he chose the safest push. 6-0. The score lasted until the end of the first half. Ronaldo habitually shot 3 and 1 pass, but the most active performance was Jesse Lingard, in addition to 2 passes and 1 shot, but also created a lot of opportunities. If you want to say the best in the game, Jesse Lingard can earn with Luo in the first half, not to mention the second half. After Liu Yi and the players high-fived one by one, the last one returned to the locker room, and the substitution was definitely to be changed. After all, the midfield substitution did not occupy the quota. See, Ronaldo is naturally going to be replaced. Greenwood will appear in the center position in the second half, and Sancho on the right side will also be replaced, and the third Prince Shola Shotel, Soratir, will replace him. At this time, Liu Yi suddenly regretted it. If he put Master Law into the big list, so that the 3 princes could appear together, presumably it was also a beautiful talk. Fortunately, there is also the FA Cup match next, and there are many opportunities for such opportunities, and there are many opportunities to realize dreams. Fred will have more defensive pressure in the second half. Be sure to get up your spirits. I'll pay attention, boss. Fred took it seriously. Mike, protect your brothers and sisters. Liu Yi pointed to McTominay again. If the other party wants to have any malicious fouls, or increase physical confrontation, he needs to go out. Scott McTominay was a fighter, a brave and fearless Scotsman, and had no shortcomings except for poor technique, poor sense of position, and easy to get on top. He nodded vigorously. He knew that his position was not stable, but as long as the coach let himself play, he would put all his strength to help the ball team. Looking at this young man, with a loyal and honest look, Liu Yi suddenly felt that he should give him some chance. Just a salary of £20,000, a high appearance rate, able to do dirty work, and what else to say, it is simply wronged. The most important thing is that McTominay looked at the young players, the players who sat on the bench for tens of thousands of years. The salaries were far more than their own, they never made a fuss, and there was no complaint. Good job. Liu Yi patted the big man's shoulder and said in a serious tone. McTominay almost cried. He knew his shortcomings and knew he was not likable, but he always gave everything he had and tried desperately to pay for the team. Looking at his teammates, Cristiano, needless to say, Barony is a high match. Fred and Lingard are favored by the coach. He is very envious. He put all his energy into training, hoping to be appreciated by the coach, but for more than a month, he seemed to be the one who was always overlooked. Suddenly saying this now made him feel instantly satisfied with everything. Liu Yi also did not know that his simple words made McTominay's loyalty jump directly from 15 to 20. The second half began, the exchange of venues between the two sides began again, and the young Bern had given up attacking with only one symbolic striker on the pitch. In the Longwell live broadcast room, Kim Sang-kai opened his mouth according to the custom. Welcome back to the second half of the game to all fans and friends, and we continue to send commentary to everyone. After Ronaldo left the court, Lingard put on the captain's armband, which is a reward for him. There are 4 young players under the age of 20 on the field. The average age is only 23 years old, the oldest is Lingard, and the second half will rely on Lin Huang to lead the whole team. Episode 139. At the start of the second half, the oldest and most experienced Manchester United in the front court was Greenwood, born in 2001, at the age of 20. A look is not very reassuring attack line, and some people think that Liu Yi feels that the score is almost over, ready to collect the troops, and give the boys the opportunity to play by the way. Even the coaching staff and players of the young people in Bern have similar ideas called taking advantage of your illness to kill you, and since you are so big and do not take us seriously, then let you pay for your arrogance. Because the 3 youngsters in the front court lacked experience in the game, it was difficult to form a pressure on the opponent when pressing, and the young Bern young man touched the ball in the corner of the backcourt and suddenly relaxed a lot, so that the defensive pressure of Fred and McTominay suddenly increased a lot. Fortunately, Luke Shaw and Dalot on both sides can provide some help, and it is also reassuring to have Varane protect Fish at the back. It was hard to get the chance. The young players in Bern, some could not contain their excitement. The defenders are unconsciously raised, the speed of the midfield is fast, and many people think that the Manchester United players on the field are exhausted and unable to control the situation. But if there are real discerning people, it will be clear that at this time, the young people of Bern did not get any good opportunities, but completely exposed their own backline. As long as one of United's counterattacks is successful, then it is possible to face the goalkeeper directly. McTominay was suddenly entangled in a swift movement and the Bern youngster was given his first shot in the second half. A powerful shot was kicked out of the line by Fish. Varane and De Gea came up and touched the boy's hair to encourage him. Well done, just kick. Jesse Lingard stood on the edge of his own penalty area, Greenwood on the other side, Elena came back to defend the corner, and Shot High was in the front position. The youngster's corner kick was made and the first point was grabbed by Varane and pushed straight out of the box. Fred took the ball under control and passed it directly to Jesse Lingard, who made a long pass and passed the ball to the right. The third prince, Chotel, had already rushed up, Greenwood had also buried his head in the front, and Lingard was naturally no exception. Chotel, whether he chooses to break through himself or pass the ball, has a good position. The newborn calf is not afraid of the tiger. Short Air controlled the ball under his feet, made a few fake moves, looked up at Greenwood. Just when everyone thought he was going to pass, suddenly a section of scene changed. The soccer ball under his feet, through the legs of the defender, he went around the other side like a slippery mud autumn. In front of a wide open, this time directly chose to pass, more than 20 meters away from the goal. Greenwood, who got the ball, looked at the goal, raised his foot and shot. Gone. The moment he kicked out, Greenwood felt that his foot shot did not master the footwork. Just when he was a little annoyed, a red figure appeared on the other side, chased it like a speed, and used his body to block the football into the goal before the football was about to deflect out. Hey, too anxious, should. Let's see who scored the ball. Nation. Jesse Lingard, he ran 70 meters from the back and scored the goal. Look, this is Jesse, he's completely out of the woods and has become a really good player and he deserves a good contract. Just when people were worried about Liu's setup in the second half, Lingard and his teammates stepped forward and said that such worries were completely unnecessary. 7-0. The Bernay youngsters' attack looked brilliant, but it didn't actually work and didn't even get De Gea to make a save. And United only need one chance to penetrate Bern's defense and score a goal. This is Manchester United now, when he attacks like a storm everywhere, when he defends, like a lurking snake, ready to give you a fatal blow. Against this Manchester United, don't let your guard down and have any small psychological psyches. The half-day of their own attack did not achieve results, but Manchester United scored another goal, which caused chaos in the formation of Bern's young people, and some players wanted to stabilize and not lose the ball. There is also a part that wants to prove that they are better than a bunch of children anyway. The disconnect, leaving a huge space in the midfield, made Fred and McTominay, who were busy defending, become more relaxed. Chaos was meant to be punished, and in the 60th minute, Jesse Lingard assisted Elena to score. Elena was then replaced by the talented prodigy Amad Diallo, leaving United with only one substitution left. Jesse Lingard's performance did not stop, and in the 72nd minute of the game, he received a pass from Diallo and took it all the way to the edge of the opposing penalty area, passing the cross to the other side of Greenwood. Greenwood had no room to shoot and chose to pass the ball into the box, and Lingard understood and followed up with a light provocative shot that once again broke through the Bernay youngers' goal. With 10 minutes left in the game, Jesse Lingard handed over a 3-goal and 3-assist answer. Jesse Lingard's name was called, and for the local Manchester United fans in Manchester, Jesse Lingard was the kid they grew up watching. Watching him perform so well now, it is naturally extra happy and exciting. In the 80th minute, Liu Yi replaced Lingard with young player Hannibal and accepted the cheers and applause of the audience. Teammates on the bench also stood up, applauded Lingard, and then high-fived him one by one, congratulating him on such a perfect performance. "Thank you, boss." Lingard came to Liu Yi and sincerely expressed his gratitude. If there was no boss, now he might have to choose another way out. But he grew up here, became famous here, he loved Manchester United and wouldn't have chosen to leave this path until the last minute. Now everything is on the right track, the perfect choice for his life. The game on the field continued, and the few youngsters who were replaced obviously did not meet the current score, and they did not intend to end the game on the field. Football appeared at Hannibal's feet, and the talented player's technique and imagination were outstanding, often with some sinister goals. After playing with Elena continuously, the ball was passed to the feet of a maid, and the opposing defenders immediately posted in line. Physical confrontation, as a 19-year-old young man, is naturally not the opponent of the other party, but Ahmad has put his flexibility to the extreme. Before the opponent charged himself, he passed the football out, turned around and drilled into the penalty area. Chotel knocked back on the right side of the inverted triangle. Greenwood, who had already prepared, rounded his thighs, and shot a crisp and sharp kick. The football was like a white rainbow, straight to the goal. Episode 140. The game was over, Greenwood's goal locked the score at 10 o'clock, and the efforts of the youngsters came to fruition. Defeating a young Burn is not something to celebrate. Liu Yi directly asked Carrick to represent himself to the press conference, and it is also very tiring to deal with the media. Especially, some media outlets always like to dig holes for you and then do things. Back in the locker room, Liu Yi focused on praising Lingard, and then encouraged the young players on the field, affirming their efforts in this game. Being elected the best of the show is the best praise for Jesse Lingard and the best response to the outside world. Luo also expressed his blessings to Jesse Lingard on social media after the game. Who would have thought that the data of 3 goals and 1 assist still can't get the best in the game? Then there is a photo of Lingard dancing below, and there is also Lingard's current stats, 3 goals and 3 assists. And Rowe only played half a game, which is one of the reasons why he didn't get the best of the game. Otherwise, people with voting rights on the scene may be in some considerations, voting for Ronaldo. Of course, Lingard's performance is obvious to all, not bad after the best celebration of the whole scene. Liu Yi also sent a photo of the locker room, posted on Weibo and Twitter. Congratulations to Lingard, he is in the best stage of life. I hope he continues to work hard, do not live up to people's expectations. The following are the likes and comments of the first team and youth teams, and even many other team players. Liu Yi is now a popular fried chicken. Can mix a familiar face is also good to send away visiting Burn youth. Manchester United also ended their Champions League group stage. Waiting for the knockout draw to see if it will be the bad luck of that team. But in the middle of this, the FA game is also about to start, and the third round of the game that Manchester United will play will start from January 8, 2022, and Manchester United will draw against Aston Villa in the Premier League, and his head coach is the newly appointed Steven Gerrard, yes, Liverpool's famous Gerrard. It may be that the FA is in order to have the effect of the whole program. Anyway, the traffic is the most important, and a super team like Manchester United must play in the most flowing way. According to this logic, Liu Yi can probably think that UEFA also gave Zini a complete understanding when it drew the Champions League. Boss, we're a little out of luck. Carrick, who got the news, couldn't help but feel both a sigh of relief. Looking at other Manchester City, Liverpool's opponents, almost no one has heard the name, and the pass is naturally easier, not too expensive. Old Ka, your thinking is not quite right. We must respect every champion, only by defeating all opponents, whether strong opponents or unknown teams, all under the feet, can we taste the glory of the champion. Carrick was stunned, but quickly nodded. According to his understanding of Liu Yi, this boss is really such a person. Anyway, whether you are Blue Moon or Blue Army, everything that stands in my way will be shattered. To be honest, I hope that when the Champions League draws, UEFA can also give me the difficulty of the hour, what Paris Barca Big Juve and so on, although come. Manchester United, who has been silent for so long, needs an unquestionable champion to tell those who don't want us to be better off. Lao Tzu is back. Looking at Liu Yi, who was full of spirit and domineering, Carrick fell into contemplation, and he suddenly thought that perhaps the gap between him and Liu Yi was not only a tactical problem, but also a very critical aspect of mentality. 3 days later, Liu Yi will lead the team to the away challenge of Norwich. The team has been at the bottom of the Premier League so far this season and is already destined for relegation and will not pose any threat to the team, so despite the tight time, the Liu family still gave the ball team a day off. Liu Yi is popular in the team, and there may be reasons for this. After all, who doesn't like the leader who gives everyone a holiday when nothing happens? Back home, it was already around 12 o'clock, looked at the mobile phone, a lot of messages from friends. Congratulations on leading the team to successfully break into the Champions League knockout stage as the first in the group. Calculate the time in the Dragon Kingdom. There are many people who stay up late to watch the ball. What he doesn't know is that according to the statistics of the FA, since Liu Yi joined Manchester United, the number of fans who stayed up late at night to watch Manchester United games has directly doubled. Instead of replying to the message, I sent a circle of friends to thank everyone for their concern. The morning sun in my distant hometown dispels the chill, and I am still shrouded in the cold night of Manchester, and I have won another game to have a good dream at night. Below is naturally a cascade of likes and comments. As is customary, take a comfortable bath and then enter the game, the third Champions League game. There should be some rewards. In your inbox, one syslog message after another. Congratulations to the host for winning 3 consecutive Champions League games and rewarding Manchester United with 1% stake. Liu Yi began to wonder where these Manchester United shares came from, and he already had 7% of the Manchester United shares so far, but no one had found him and had not been noticed by anyone. Under normal circumstances, when so many shares of a company fall into the hands of a certain person, it will punish the suspension mechanism or conduct external exposure to prevent the emergence of hostile acquisitions. By now everything was normal, and the Glazers seemed to be blind, or simply not concerned about it. Sure enough, it is a very intimate system that avoids a lot of trouble for yourself. Congratulations to the players in the host team for breaking the fastest hat-trick time in the Champions League, rewarding 2 individual attribute points. Congratulations to the players in the host team for scoring a hat-trick in 3 consecutive Champions League games and rewarding an endorsement contract. Congratulations to the host for leading the team to enter the knockout round as the first in the group, and reward an acting card, which allows the host to temporarily obtain movie emperor-level acting skills until the end of shooting. There are new rewards. Liu Yi probably studied this card, and found that unless the number is enough, it is not enough to support himself to break into the entertainment industry. Fortunately, he does not dare to be interested in this, he is only interested in the beauty of the entertainment industry. Congratulations to the host for leading the team to beat the Burnley youngsters. A goal card is awarded. Liu Yi already has a lot of them, and he hasn't used them for the time being, but they are always useful, and he won't be too much. The first 2 endorsement contracts are from domestic enterprises, and the third endorsement should earn foreigners money, but it is also very good to help domestic enterprises to do promotion.